I've been telling you guys time and time again, carnivore is the way to go. And now you can try it yourself for free.
That's right, guys. Get 4 carnivore samples free. We got chocolate, my personal favorite, fruity cereal, Frankie's favorite, Rocket Pop, and cinnamon toast cereal.
Oh, and don't forget, you'll get a free Milk is for Baby shaker. All you have to do is pay for shipping. You get your 4 free samples. Try it today and bulk up tomorrow. Let's go.
Real show, here we go. Real show, here we go. You know that it's gotta be that time, so this is what we chant. What keeps on getting them all amped in advance? Come on. You and I rocking out with Iron Man, FE. You get the general's point of view on top of Roger's rants. Whenever tapping out, we're putting the most minutes in. You already know what that's about, you know that winners win. Crush whatever's on task, check the podcast. It's the champ and the tramp, let the bomb blast.
What's up, guys? We got a good one for you today. We got a couple boys in blue with us. We got one from the East Coast, one from the West Coast. Actually, both from the East Coast. One just moved to the West Coast. We got a NYPD officer in the house, and we have, I don't know how much of details you want me to give out here, but one from California, we'll say, a detective in California. You actually, you specialize in human trafficking, which is interesting. That's not what you hear every day, I guess.
No.
And no. I read today that California is like the mecca for human trafficking. That's like the biggest state where it happens in. Which kind of makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, it's one of the bigger states that everybody comes to for human trafficking. I think it's a political hot button, so everybody talks about it, and the laws, policies that are coming through.
Mike Smith.
Yeah, Mike. No, I wasn't going to say his last name, but Mike Smith. We've nailed you
What's
down.
up,
Mike
man?
Smith.
What's up?
Come on, you can't.
It sounds
The
like
easiest name to remember if
It
you
does
need
sound like an alias, but Mike
awesome.
and Chris was all I was going to say. I'm sorry I didn't do the introduction there. We got Mike on the right.
All right, I just gave up the government.
Yeah.
That's all right. It's all good.
It's going to be a hit out on you.
They know
after this
who I
interview.
am over there anyways. It's all good.
Yeah, you East Coast guys don't give a shit. You're both East Coast guys. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to human trafficking. The state of California apparently is the mecca. I thought maybe Texas might have been just because it's
Closer to the
closer
border.
Yeah,
to
you
the
would think,
border,
right?
or a more crossable
So we
border.
share a
there,
border, right? You share
Yeah,
a border?
so like the big places are New York, Florida, Texas, Arizona, California. A lot of the major ports that you have or like the border, because they can come through easily. But it's all over. Like the way I explain it is, if you take like the old school projectors from school, take a layout or a clear blueprint of the United States, and take the HT, or that's what we say for human trafficking layouts, put it on top, it's insane.
Like how much is going on?
It's all over. You can see, we find it in neighborhoods, apartment complexes. It's such a big, commercial sex is so big.
I just seen a thing. Sorry, Steven Seagal. Did you send it to me?
Yeah, he's in Russia now because
No, he's in Russia because they said in Louisiana, which he's a cop.
He got
like a sheriff
accused.
of
We saw
Louisiana,
that, the lawman.
he had a bunch of
that he
women.
had a bunch of women tied up in his basement.
Steven Seagal?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
Yeah,
true.
it's
but
fucking on TikTok.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Frankie and I are of the thought process after 4 years of doing this that we literally don't believe anything we see or read. We just kind of talk about both sides of it and say that's probably more plausible than that. But I mean, we live in the era of fake news now, man. You can't believe anything.
You
So
you
I don't know if
what's
that's real or
what's
not,
fake.
but listen, could be, right? Could be. I mean, Steven Seagal's kind of a nutty character. But he comes back to the States, right? Hasn't he been at UFC fights and shit? Or they've been overseas?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
So,
but the traffic, what are they like, trafficking for? Sex trafficking, slave trafficking, like.
So everybody says prostitution is like the oldest profession, and human trafficking is either labor or commercial sex.
Can't say prostitution though. No good.
Well, we can't say prostitute.
Sex worker.
They're sex
It's a
workers.
Sex
Why,
workers
that's
union.
like taboo now.
Apparently so. Sex workers unions.
And
Right.
but trafficking's for everything. It depends on who's doing it. If it's an independent party doing it, or like a drug cartel, it spans from whatever the preference is, because it's a money making business. So the best way to say is drugs or something that you can have as a commodity, but there is a time limit on it, because if you only have so much, then when you're all out dealing, right, you have to get a new supply. Well, a human, right, that always lasts.
Yeah.
So they use them for like drug smuggling, right, and then it goes into prostitution, and then it can go back into drug smuggling again.
well, can't it also be legal things like just agriculture in California? I mean,
Yeah, so that'll be your labor trafficking.
Right,
So if you come in and then you need to work, but I'm like not allowing you to leave, paying you barely anything.
Right.
You're forced to work all the time. That's labor
Sweatshop,
trafficking,
basically,
sweatshops, yeah. Right, which happens, right? Because people take advantage of people who don't know anything or are undocumented or don't speak the language. You have a lot of that. We call it, human smuggling, debt bondage, where the coyotes will bring you in, say, all right, you owe me $7,000. Well, I don't speak English and I don't have a job. Well, now you're going to work for me to pay back the debt.
Indentured servants.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the most horrific stories, and you usually hear of one like one a year, is the box trailers that they'll find on like a dead end street that are locked, and they'll have like just kids, women, and they all bake in there because they can't get out, and they're you usually hear at least a case of that happening, and it's just so horrendous. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that goes more to the drug smuggling, human smuggling side, where they're being smuggled in. And then once that happens, which is usually kind of on your coastal states like Texas, Arizona, or like Southern California, I deal with mostly the labor and commercial sex side. I specialize in the commercial sex side. That's kind of where I found my bread and butter for the proactive undercover investigations, as well as the long-term investigations that you get from a call for service from patrol or an anonymous tip line that the FBI has or local agencies have for illicit massage parlors, like residential brothels, like a house could be one, right? And then I do a lot of the social media and then any kind of online platform where most of your exploiters, your traffickers, or your pimps
that's wild.
kind of lie, which is now everywhere on
Get
social
my
media.
number before you leave if you guys are going to raid that one on Route 9. Get a call before
Yeah.
you come in.
Right.
They're all over.
Right.
They're,
and
they're
every
all over.
state's got
I've
different
never
laws.
been to one,
There's
but I know
like
where they are.
There are like massage parlors all over the fucking place.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just had the problem in Queens. If you've seen it in the news.
I'm talking about in Tom's River. There's like 15 of them. Bro.
Yeah.
Is
right?
there
Really?
that
Out
many?
here?
I know
There's
like
a lot,
two.
bro.
I know
There's
like
a
two.
lot. There's a lot. If
People-
it's a massage parlor and it's not like Hand and Stone, it's a jerk shop.
Yeah,
Bro.
So it's not really $30 massage that you go for.
Yeah, and the problem is like a lot of it's cultural, right? Most of your massage parlors are Asian run, and it's a cultural thing.
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
cultural
So they don't
acceptance
think
that
anything-
they're exactly.
Nothing to them.
They don't think they're doing anything wrong because there it's fine. Here it's just not. It's not okay. It's against the law. But to them, they're just making money the way they can, and they're actually getting a proceeds. They're actually getting portions of their earnings.
Right,
Unlike
but the laws now are in place for them.
yeah.
Like not against them. Years ago, you wouldn't see this happening.
But what
all over.
happens to them? Are most of them here legally or on visas, or do they get deported, or how does that work?
So I think it depends state to state. I know, like we're all sanctuary states: Jersey, California, New York. So you don't get deported. We do work. So I'm in a task force. So I work with FBI, Homeland Security, State Department, Sheriff's Office, District Attorney's Office, as well as other local agencies. And it all kind of depends on how big the investigation is. So if we were going to go to an illicit massage parlor and we were going to do a search warrant, or we knew there was evidence of, commercial sex going on, the girls we see as victims, so we try to get them as much help as possible, and then try to figure out who's running the business, which is very hard to do, right? Because WeChat is one of the big things that they use.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest apps in the world, and everything's done on that.
For
And
the
it's
Asian community,
yes,
WeChat, yeah.
it's very hard to get into. It's very hard to get an account on there because you have to get sponsored by somebody else, and they do a lot of vetting. So, and the girls just won't usually tell you anything. Like they keep it very like, I'm not doing anything wrong, because one, they don't want to get in trouble. Yeah. They don't want to lose money, right? And two, everybody's like Stockholm syndrome to fear us. So they like what they're doing because they know it's working for them, and this is how they make money.
They're pre-programmed.
And
handle
I mean,
if
the
situation
stigmas,
arises.
right? Yeah. And then the Johns or the sex buyers usually get a citation for California or arrested if there's
call
other
them the
charges.
I've never been to one.
Right. So what we say is everything's kind of run differently depending on the culture or what the business is. So like a lot of the Asian massage parlors, we call it the mama-san. It's the one who's the lady who's in charge of everybody.
What do they call it? An whorehouse. What are they? Madam.
Madam,
Yeah.
yeah.
Brothel.
Uh-huh.
It's brothel. I'll use the right term.
So they kind of are like the one suspect in charge that you're trying to find. It's just hard to do. They think they're good. They use identity theft, right? So they pretend to be somebody else to get the credit to open up their business or get a lease for an apartment or a house to start doing it. And the girls just are there for a week and rotate. Right, you got to learn a lot of the slang, a lot of the emojis. It's all like hidden conversations, especially for your low-level commercial sex, which has like your pimp and prostitute you see on the corner.
Yeah, but tell them how, like,
So wait, emoji?
when you hear pimp, what do you think of? Street pimp,
What do
right?
you think of like the Mac? You ever see the Mac? The
Yeah, and
movie?
he's telling me now it's like
Magic
corporate.
Yeah,
It's like corporate level. Which
So there's many
I never
different
even
types
knew.
of
Anytime there's
terms.
big money to be made, right? It always, I mean, it tends to get taken over more by like white collar dudes. You know what I mean?
You know what? It's just, we say it's demographic related, but it's also like motivation. So your local street level pimp is the one you normally see on TV, where he's letting his girl stand on the corner while he's collecting money. Those are usually, you're gonna get least amount of money out of it because they spend it really fast and they're not business savvy and they don't care and they think it's their money is always their money. Then you've got a boyfriend pimp or a Romeo pimp who will lure the girls in by, girl, I got you, I'm your savior, I love you, and then they'll get them into doing it. And then we have something called the CEO pimp, which is strictly business. It's like, hey, here's this opportunity, I'm going to set you up, this is what we're going to do, this is how much you're going to make, this is how much you're going to give me, which is what a lot of your organizations are, which is kind of like what a brothel is. And then it works that way because it's very
Who's the
business-like.
really famous girl? I think she was New York City, I think. She got busted, but she had some really high-end clients. The list came out. What the hell was her name?
Dark hair. I know you're talking about.
I can't think of-
Bethany Frankel.
No, that's
That
one
name
of the
sounds familiar
housewives,
too.
ain't it?
Is she? I don't know.
Isn't that skinny?
I don't know.
That's the skinny vodka. Isn't that her? Bethany Frankel. She's one of the housewives, I think. Not her. God, if I wasn't trying to think of it, I could think of it. But anyway, they called her something Madam or something. She had a nickname, but what was it? Manhattan Madam.
Yeah,
What's her name? Nope, different girl.
That's what it says here.
Oh yeah, no. If you said the name, I would know it, but that's not it.
He just said the name. He didn't know it.
No, that's not it. That's not the one I was thinking of. I mean, that's another one, but anyway, regardless. Huh?
Kristen Davis.
No.
A bunch of them there.
Yeah, sorry.
Again, it's everywhere,
Yeah.
and you're not going to see it, right? No one talks about it. No one wants to see it, and it's very hard from a culture that we came up in, where we all saw prostitutes as bad. The public sees prostitutes as bad, and I'll even say it myself. When I first got into the gig, I've been a cop for 8 years, and this is my second year doing this. I always saw them as bad, right? We used to arrest them all the time because we thought, hey, you're committing a crime. Being in the unit and actually talking to survivors and like how it happens, usually the girls will have some type of childhood trauma, whether it was sex abuse, child abuse, a dysfunctional family, no father in the home, and within 48 hours they're picked up by a pimp. Wow. 48 hours. And they're just coerced and Stockholm syndrome to believe that I'm your savior, this is how it's going to be, and they just can't get out of it. Like a domestic violence victim, like, why don't you just leave?
Yeah.
They just can't get out of it. An alcoholic, why don't you just quit?
Right.
So it's really hard, and I've talked to so many girls with so many crazy stories of like, that's insane.
Yeah.
So it is an eye-opener once you get into it, but it's a really niche expertise that most people don't see. I'm very lucky that I was chosen to be in that spot, but it does change like my view of everything.
Yeah.
I feel like I've opened up the matrix and I see more than I should have, and it's just the way it is
But
now.
do you feel like you relate to the people more? But how do you see more? You know what I mean?
So I can't relate to them because I'm not in that spot. But like, so again, I specialize in the local level stuff. So I like to use all the social media to try to lure the pimps to try to get me. I have undercover accounts we use female officers to pose as juveniles or adults. It's everywhere. But when we talk to these girls that we actually rescue, whether we're doing an operation or it's from an investigation, I usually go with the approach of like, hey, listen, I'm sorry, I'm not here to judge because they don't want to be judged.
Right.
I just want to know. Like, just give me as much information as possible. And I feel like the older brother,
Heidi
not
Fleiss,
really.
that's her name. I couldn't think
That
of it.
sounds
Remember
familiar. Heidi Fleiss. That does sound familiar.
I usually go with the line is if I ask the girl, hey, do you have any younger siblings or sister and like that? And they usually say, yeah. Would you want them doing this? Most of them say no. I was like, well, that's how I feel. Right? Because sooner or later, if you're working independently for yourself or something bad will happen. It's a dangerous line.
The story reminds me of you describing and how these girls get into this reminds me a lot of the Epstein story. I mean, those girls were approached. Most of them had family issues at home, and they were, I think I remember some of them were promised like, a couple $100 if you come over, and it was never for sex. It's like a massage or whatever, and then before you know it, they're being completely taken advantage of sexually.
Yeah.
What about was it fans? What was it called?
OnlyFans?
OnlyFans. Does that have anything to do with the trafficking stuff?
So it's not a direct link where if they're on OnlyFans, they're doing it or they're being trafficked or they're being, pimped out or pandered. But tends to happen is, if you've been a stripper or exotic dancer, if you've worked in those type of clubs, or if you've been in porn, if you've done OnlyFans, this tends to come next. Right? That's like the champagne room, right? Which doesn't really exist. We call it that for a reason. It's because sexual acts happen in the champagne room. So it tends to be a thing. I've had a lot of victims come up and say, yeah, I was a stripper. I made some money because some clients would pay me extra, and that's how you get started into it. And, women tend to be more agreeable than men. Not saying that men aren't in this as well as prostitutes, but it's usually women. And they're kind of just run by like, well, this is my highest commodity. This is what I'm going to charge for it. And this is my lifestyle now. And then they'll do OnlyFans on the side to get more money. So, like,
I wonder, like,
it's insane on
it's like
social
they're
media.
making, like, you hear some people, like, Paige Van Zandt makes fucking more money on
I know.
OnlyFans than
Yeah,
she does
right.
fighting.
I know, that's
I mean,
crazy.
would that be a way for some of these like girls, like, fuck, why should I be prostituting? I'm making so much money off OnlyFans.
I mean, they'll do both because not every girl makes a lot of money on OnlyFans. We all see like
Paige Van Zandt had
the
the
one.
name, right?
We see like the 1% of women that make a tremendous amount of money, and they are. A lot of women are making like $100,000 a month.
Who's that? Catch Me Outside girl.
All right, yeah.
Like, fuck
But
But
So-
that's a
$1
fact
million
too. Now she's
right?
made more money on
Made $1 million
OnlyFans, right?
on the day she
Which is
turned
crazy
18.
to me.
Which
on
is creepy
OnlyFans.
because
Right.
it's fucking creeps.
It
out
is.
there.
There's just a lot,
creeps out
right?
there.
A lot of this goes into like the internet crimes against children, child exploitation, and it's just
It's kind of like
one
you
of those
said.
things.
We want to judge her, right? Like your first notion is to judge her. Like, what the fuck? You're 18 and you're something. We're the pigs. Men are the pigs. We're the ones
because we're the
paying for
ones,
that.
yeah.
It's crazy.
That's the thing. And we always say, good and evil's perspective, right? If you go to steal a piece of bread because you're starving, and I have to arrest you for it, well, who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy?
Right.
It's kind of the same way. Well, why are they doing this? Are they doing this because they need money, or are they doing this because they want attention? Are they being forced to do it? So it's a whole convoluted. Everybody's got their own story of why they do it. Some girls just like, I heard it was good money, tried it out. I've had a girl make $7,000 in a week, tax-free cash. All right, it's like, geez. I mean, I get it.
That's tough. That's
I
tough.
feel like there's a shelf life on that because you got your looks,
Yes.
you got what I mean. So if let's say it's 3 to 5 years, right? What do you do after that 5 years
They
is
throw
over?
you out.
You're
gotta
done.
get rid of you,
You're
yeah.
making. Let's say you're making. I don't know what the average is. Let's say you're making $2,500 a week average, right, for a pretty girl or whatever. Probably more than that, but let's just throw around about. Your 3 or your 5 years, your looks fail. You're like,
I mean,
what do you do then? You're
they-
not going to
they-
work at Walmart.
They
I've
bounce you.
seen ads like that. I've seen ads for ladies who are 60 years old.
Yeah, you get
So,
like you could see
you've got
like,
your
New York
sections.
City too. You get
People
your
like
old
all
ladies promoting.
Well, because I mean, there's sickos out there. There's something for everybody in this
Yeah.
world.
Bro,
Right?
you want to see?
Right.
You want
Something
like
for everybody.
you take a ride by these locations and just sit there, and they're everywhere. So like we could be getting video for one crime, and we got our eyes on them on the spa that does have cameras that we need, and you see the dudes like they usually like nerded up, fucking tiptoeing, like texting, waiting for the door to buzz open.
Yeah.
They're looking around them like, bro, we see you. Like it's 9 o'clock in the morning. We see you going in there right now.
Yeah, and they're
It's
not like
crazy.
your traditional suspects that you would think of. They're just everyday people
Yeah.
that just either, have their own, they're not getting anything at home, they're socially awkward. They might just be a regular, I've seen all walks of life go into one.
yeah.
Right? You might just have a good CEO that makes $1 million a year
What was that?
walk
Who
into
got
one.
caught in one? Robert Kraft.
Yeah, remember
Yeah.
that?
catch him caught.
Yeah, right.
There's
He
a
did.
teacher of there was a football coach when I was in high school got caught in one around here.
Theo Vaughn has got a funny story, and again, I never know what to believe when Theo's telling the story, but he obviously talks openly about having a serious cocaine addiction for a long time, and he's like, I'd get so coked up, and he's like, I'd call an escort to show up at the door, and he said by the time she'd show up, I'd be so paranoid that she'd be like undercover. He's like, I would just talk to her, I wouldn't even do anything with her.
Some guys pay just for that. Like some guys will
Just
pay just to
companionship.
cuddle.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like there is so many websites for this stuff that we go through and we hear.
Is that
going
illegal?
on.
Like I'm just kind of.
So the websites are international, right? So there was one big website back in the day, and the government shut it down.
Backpage.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it spread to
Now it's
1,000
now
other
it's
websites.
Now it's Bedpage.
There's so many, and they're all international, so they don't obey our laws, so they
It used to
can
be
do whatever they want.
Craigslist. back in the
Craigslist,
day.
yeah, that
Craigslist
was years
still
ago.
on
That
there.
was the
And then
original.
the killer, the Craigslist killer, I think that was Boston. Was that Massachusetts?
Might have been
I think?
Boston, I
Yeah,
think.
it was
I think it was Boston.
He was just a normal looking, kind of a
Yeah.
dorky looking college kid that was killing girls off Craigslist.
like
Yeah.
what? Like girl.
Like meeting them in hotels
Working
and,
girls.
and killing working girls and killing
Right.
them. Yeah.
And it's a risk for the guy who's going to be the sex buyer too.
Yeah.
Because you can go get a
hustled,
date,
right?
get hustled, she can rob
She
you,
have
the
a
pimp
dick.
could be
Well,
there,
usually-
they can rob you.
We got a
yeah.
lot of
Yeah,
those.
That's a big one too. That's a big
Lot of
commodity though.
hustlers.
A lot of ones go for the trans.
Wait.
That's
Wait,
bro.
what is it?
They want to get surprised, or they know the
No,
guy.
they
no,
know.
no, they know.
They know when you go
They
on,
know the
right?
deal.
So when you go on these websites, they have a little
Connect.
bio, right? The
Well, I
websites
hear
have a
about a
little
lot
bio
of
on.
Rolexes and watches getting stolen from dudes that they go out with a girl, they get hammered, they get them so drunk, the dude's so drunk, or they put a little something.
We just had one
and
that
they
we
pass out, and they wake up, and there's $70,000 Rolexes missing, and the girl's
Yeah.
gone. You know.
we
Yeah.
get the emails of the stuff that goes on. So I'm going through the emails one morning when I get in, and I see a picture of this big girl, and I'm reading the story, and it's like male agreed for a sexual act at a hotel. He went to the hotel. It wasn't who was advertised in the picture. He goes to leave. He gets strong armed and beat up.
I mean,
And like,
that's
listen,
also common.
if that's me, I'm out of there. Like, I'm not calling 911.
No,
but
you
this
have to,
dude called 911, and
Is that implicating himself?
No,
he didn't
yes
get
and no.
locked up for it because now he's the complainant. Even though he agreed, like I said, the laws more protect him now than they do.
Right.
You know, it's weird.
I mean,
It's a
technically,
strange.
he did try to go commit a crime, right? It's prostitution, but he called the cops, and usually they call
Yeah.
saying I was just
Well, listen.
robbed, right?
Excuse me. I was watching Cops
Yeah.
back in the day. I used to do one of the great shows back in the day, and it was an older episode too. And this cop's just driving. It was kind of like in Hicksville too. It was kind of like an East Bumblefuck, but he's driving down like a country road and just some rundown, ranch houses on the side of the road or whatever. And he's like, "This lady's flagging me down." So the cameraman, and it's clearly a crackhead running over, right? And this woman's like, they're in that house. They just showed me sheetrock. They just sold me sheetrock, $20 worth of sheetrock, and they said it was crack. And this guy, I'm like, why? How? What is protocol there? Do you arrest her for buying crack, or do you? But no, he went and investigated, asked them, like checked it out. It was sheetrock. It wasn't crack. Went and questioned them and got her $20 back. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's all state and situational dependent, discretion of the officer. It
See,
depends
how
on the
long ago
laws.
was that? Was that a while ago?
That was a long time
You
ago.
could,
yeah.
you were allowed
It
to
was-
do your job then.
Yeah, right.
Now everything's
on
like
camera.
by
Oh,
the
that-
book.
Technically, that was
Yeah.
on camera.
Yeah.
That was on
Now it's
Cops,
by the
but,
book.
There's a lot of letter of the law, spirit of the law. Now it's all letter of the law,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Body
wow.
cameras,
Right.
which help us though, but
How do you guys feel about that? Because certainly, how long have you look young? But Mike, how long have you been on the force? You're about to retire.
I'm in my 20th year right now, so
20th
I
year.
leave December.
So you've seen the
Everything,
old way,
yeah.
and now you're at this new
Yeah.
way where literally everything's on camera. There's always somebody filming you.
Yeah.
Letter of the law, like you said. No more old school policing.
Right.
What you think? It's better, worse time?
I
What do you
mean,
think?
the bad part is, and again, I'm talking on my
I
own.
would think it removes a lot of your discretion. no?
It does.
Yeah.
And I'm talking, I'm not representing PD by any means. I'll talk from, my opinion on it. The body cameras help because any person's going to say this guy did this or that to me. Well, the camera's on and it just showed none of that happened. When
Not only that, it's always a little clip that
Right.
people put out. They don't ever put
and
out
we
the
have the
whole
full
thing. Yeah.
scene of what happened. And not a lot of people get to see that. But you do lose your discretion now. There's no more like, oh, you know what? Let me go take a break. Don't do it. It has to be done. You got to arrest. Got to make the arrest. You got to do something.
You're
There's
liable.
always somebody around. That's the worst part is the videos around us. Years ago, when cameras first came out, you could push that crowd back a little bit, so they really can't get in your face, which is dangerous too. If you're involved in something, I don't want 5-6 people around me. That's crazy. Now I'm watching rookies doing police work with groups around them. Like, how is that safe to me?
Yeah.
But body cameras are definitely a help. I don't wear it. I work in a detective squad, so we don't have them. But if like there's a robbery, let's say, like my job is to review every kid's body camera, every cop's body camera to see, all right, how'd that interaction go, make sure everything was legit. And all the times, man, it shows that these guys did everything by the book and nothing went wrong, which is good for them.
Yeah. Well, everything comes out on YouTube now because they have it's probably always been there, but it's utilized a lot more now, the Public Records Freedom of
Yeah.
Information Act, right?
Yeah, and we got
they get-
50a.org. You could go and throw my name in there
There's
right
a lot
now,
of
and the
First
thing
Amendment
pops up.
auditors now that request that, and they put it immediately on their channel on YouTube. And you see, you know where it's true. What you say is you see a lot of officers pulling fellow officers over and say, "Listen, man, I have no discretion here. Everything's on camera. I
Yeah,
gotta
you
bust
just
you."
got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, where that wouldn't have happened, probably.
No, I mean,
15
I
years ago.
had my career was awesome. I can't complain about it. It's easy now to say, "Oh, this sucks," because it's never going to be the same. It's always going to change. So I got to look at the big picture of it. Like I was lucky to come out in 04, 05 when I did. I was lucky to be a part of those past administrations and get to do the things I did. I was in street narcotics, anti-crime. Now I'm in the squad. I got to do a lot of awesome things that I don't think if I came on now I would ever be able to do. It's just too different. And it takes a different person now to take this job.
Were you there when Rudy was mayor?
No.
No.
I was...
after, right?
Who was my first? I think Bloomberg.
They say Rudy really
Yeah,
cleaned up
Bloomberg
the
was
streets,
after-
right?
Bloomberg,
after him,
yeah.
right? Yeah, Bloomberg was for a while.
Bloomberg was good. Even Adams right now. Like, there's a lot of people that you could very easily knock them, right? If you don't know. But it's not Eric Adams. Like, he's doing a great job protecting us the best he can. I can never say he's not. He's definitely a cop's mayor. I think the problem is the city council. Like, now he's arguing with them over, like, so I don't even know the details, but it's something to do with if you stop me in the street and say, hey, you know, how do I get to here? Now I got to do paperwork to say, well, Frankie just asked me how to get across the street to this address. I got to document that as a stop. It's not a stop. It's somebody actually asking you something in good faith.
I just
And
saw
you're-
California is changing their policy. California's always the first, right, for everything. Well, you're
Yeah.
in California. Now, when you pull people over, you know how they would
Yeah.
always say, "Give me your license, registration first, and then I'll tell you what." Now you have to tell people up front what you pulled them over for. Is that true?
Yeah, so it just changed that the moment you pull somebody over, you have to tell them, and we always usually did. I always did it too. It's just easier.
Yeah.
Like, say, you know, my name's Officer Gregory. I pulled you over for speeding. License, registration, proof of insurance, please. Right? A lot of people, and this is, I think, you know, is all again situational dependent, demographic dependent, but a lot of it's movies, right? You know what I pulled you over for? It sometimes that can just lead into a battle. So the law,
Yeah.
that one's not going to be too bad for us. It's the other laws that start coming after that. What else do we have to do?
Yeah.
The next one, like they're trying to do this app, right? This phone app. So when I pull you over, I get on the app and we video chat about it.
That's crazy.
Right? Because, and this is me talking, I'm not talking, same thing with Mike, talking for ourselves and our own personal experiences, and I'm a newer officer, been on 8 years. I think the people, your public, don't understand the reality of the world.
No.
We've been in peacetime for a long time, so they understand the softness of the world, and they just believe whatever they see. And when we make car stops, it's not really just for the ticket. That's one part of it, but we're investigators.
Yeah.
Right? What if there's a gun in the car, drugs in the car, if that guy's wanted for a homicide?
Can
Right.
you just back up a little bit? I'm not sure what you mean. The app and you video chat with who?
So if I pulled you over, it ran your plate,
Yeah.
I would send the person a link. I don't know
Get
how
out
it
of
fully
here.
works. Yeah, it was on the news.
I thought you meant your superiors. Like, how do
No,
I handle it?
you'd send the driver you pulled over a
Oh
link to
my
video chat on it. I
God.
think it's.
So
I
you
think
don't have to
LA
do
was
in
testing it
purpose-
out.
in person, so you don't have to get in a car.
Yeah.
Oh
Right.
my God.
Wait, so you're saying you pull them over, you tell them why, you go back to the car, and now you hit them.
I don't know the full details of it. I saw it on the news. It was like the test project people are trying to do. So, but that's the world we're coming in. Like,
That's
again,
kind of the same
I'm
fucking
different.
Newsom. That's Newsom's
wasn't
idea.
Wasn't it California? correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't it California that wanted to? I think they were the first state. Maybe it was another one. I could be wrong, but for domestics, they wanted to send, instead of police officers, they wanted to send counselors there first.
No, I don't know if it's California said that. I think
Yeah,
they
it
were
might
just
have been
talking about
us.
just like
Oh, is it gonna be a-
bunch of, instead of sending police officers, they're sending like
Social
social
workers.
Social workers. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that's not.
what-
I
that's
don't
what
think
meant
it's
to say,
us. That
social
wasn't us because we still go to domestics.
But that's like that is the most dangerous call any
Yeah.
call can be on is
The
domestic.
domestic,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, because
That's
in
crazy.
every call, you don't know what's going to happen,
Right.
and people don't understand safety. They don't understand like officer safety. Like Mike said, 6 people around you is dangerous. You don't know who knows who, what's going to challenge.
Domestic's full of emotion
Right.
too, so you're gonna get somebody literally at their worst day.
And people do dumb
you know?
things over emotion. Like you can go arrest the husband for a legitimate reason. All of a sudden, the wife can flip out and attack you. It happens, right? Because people do dumb things when they're upset over emotion.
Back of a cop car. Hammered drunk, FaceTiming, telling
Why was
everybody.
Why was I hammered drunk? Because you were feeding me booze, you douchebag. I was with this guy.
Right,
Like,
so-
worst night of my life.
But
Started
again,
up-
like
It's
going
just
back
tough.
to discretion, right? So if I respond to a domestic like that, I'm not gonna like take one side. Like you got to hear both sides,
right.
and listen. Just in general, it's always gonna be like the woman's right and the guy's wrong. And I'm not saying that's the right way or the wrong way, but you gotta listen to both sides because it's not fair if you don't. You can't just come in and say, all right, she's not lying. Let's treat him like a dog, and you can't do that. You got to treat both people with respect.
Isn't it
And
generally now both just go to jail? for
Now
any
it's-
marks
that's-
or
yeah,
anything?
There's a
Domestic
mandatory
is
arrest.
everybody's
so you
gone.
have to, if
Yeah.
you get called for a domestic and there's any kind of inkling that there was domestic violence, it's a mandatory arrest, and you go to the dominant aggressor.
yeah, and then it's
Whoever
just a
fucked
court.
up the most.
Dude, it's terrible.
Roger definitely be okay.
and that's tough. It's tough because some of them are very like minuscule,
Yeah.
and it depends. Again, emotions could be out of
that's the worst.
spite, and it's like you're now taking someone, violating their rights in their eyes because you're arresting them, you're detaining them, arresting them, locking them up, and like that's on you
Yeah.
for something that could be so small, but with no discretion, it's all gone.
Right.
I came up. I think I did a year without body cameras, and then I had a body camera. And it was hard at first, but I love it because not only is it like your word against mine, and then you see it, but it's facial expressions you'll see, their attitude, their demeanor.
Yeah.
Right? They do it to the cops all the time. Right? Well, you'll see it with them too. They could be freaking out, screaming at us, cursing at us. So, people react visually more now.
Yeah.
So they'll see that when it gets played, and they're like, "Yeah, oh my god."
Right, yeah.
Right? It's really hard.
They're putting the body cameras in all the cars now. That's the new thing in New York. So not only will you have a body camera, you'll have that same
dash
camera in all 360 in the car.
Oh wow. Oh, so it gets like
so it
you
gets
put
the
somebody in
back. Yeah, you get
Yep,
to see
yep,
everything
yep.
that's going on.
Yep. It's really quite incredible now what you can see on YouTube. Just you know what I mean. And just with these there
Yeah.
seems to be a real upswing in First Amendment auditors now. And I didn't know. I kind of turned Frankie onto them. And listen, I think there's a lot of them that are troublemakers. They stir the pot and they try to. I think they're looking for maybe a lawsuit from police or whatever. But there's a couple of good guys out there that are respectful. I feel like they do it the right way, and I really think they're in it for the right reason, standing
Yeah.
up for people's rights and things like that. But for every one you get probably 5
Yeah.
or 10 guys that are just being assholes.
Well, even like
Yeah,
he said before, like we police a different public now. Like years ago, you respected the cops. You at least listen. If a cop stops you, I would have never said, "Hey, what are you stopping me for?" I'm gonna shut up and listen, and take whatever it is and get out of there.
That's how I was raised, right?
I mean,
it seems like now it's a different time
it's
where
just-
immediately they're yelling at you. Before,
I know.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. Or not everybody.
And
but-
usually that's how something bad happens,
Right.
right? You're yelling, you're going to resist, you're going to draw a crowd, and then that's when just all hell breaks loose. When in reality is if you just gave the guy 2 minutes, even if he was an asshole, you're getting out of there after the 2 minutes.
Like, yes, sir.
You're getting out
That's
of
all
there.
they want to hear.
Well, we do a lot of teaching and stuff like that, and I see it as a communication issue. People assume that we all know the same thing. Right. So if I assumed that Frankie knew exactly what's in my head, that's so highly incorrect. Right? Well, when you pull a guy over, and he might just be a nice guy, but you don't know, we deal with the worst of the worst. So we treat you like a suspect in terms of like officer safety wise, because if we don't,
You never know. Jeez.
yeah, you never know, and remember that could be the end of our life. If you are an actual suspect and if you have committed a serious crime, so you have to prove to me you're not. But usually they automatically assume that I know who they are. Yeah. Like, I'm a good guy. Why did you pull me over? I don't know who you are, man. I don't even know your name. Right? But our job's to deal with the people that you don't want to deal with, that are really violent, dangerous, and have malicious intent on a highly daily basis. So it's a lot of them all the time.
Yeah.
So you puts you on edge and makes you be really safe because you want to get home to your family, your loved ones. So that you have to be what's respectful, but you also have to be safe. And a lot of the public doesn't understand that. They're like, I don't get it. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I'm not a bad guy. But I don't know that. I don't know who you are. Yeah. And that's something that's not being, the point's not coming across, or that communication line of understanding is not getting through to the public that, yes, you're probably not a bad guy, but you don't know me. I don't know you. Our job's to deal with the bad people.
We want to go home safely.
We want to go home
Family,
safely. We want you to go home safely, right? You cooperate, we cooperate. The worst things that happen is when you start to challenge, thinking you know more than the cop. Yeah. Bad things tend to happen to people. Yeah, and they're unfortunate. No one wants to do it. Right?
Everything's so publicized now. Obviously, George Floyd probably being the biggest case. Where I would not want my children to go into law enforcement because
I agree.
Such a heavy price to pay, and that's a controversial thing. With Derek Chauvin, whether that was. Well, the new movie came out, that documentary. Did you guys watch it? I haven't seen it yet, but they're saying that he was trained.
I would definitely
training.
I would definitely watch that ASAP.
Yeah, it was good.
That'll
You guys watched
definitely.
it?
Like I probably
The Downfall of Minneapolis.
I probably definitely can't talk on that, but that is a great documentary to watch. It's definitely it's an eye opener.
Yeah.
I mean, again, like you said, it's hard to trust anything.
only-
I watch everything.
Sorry.
Everything you can watch, both sides, Because the news is not trustworthy. I watch a lot of podcasts. You guys, Valuetainment. I watch a lot of people who can give me information to make my own decision.
Yeah, because we don't know
Right.
what's real.
And
Really
it's-
don't, even from fucking like reputable stuff.
Frankie and I have
You
become
don't know what's real.
such like cynics of.
Yeah.
We're probably a tough podcast for some people to watch because we're never really definitive on anything. We're always like, who
Except
fucking
one
knows?
thing, except
Well,
one
that's
thing.
why
Yeah,
that's
and
why
I'm-
it's a
and
good
I'm a fruit, and
podcast
I'm a
because it's
fruit.
reality. That's the reality of everything.
You know,
Yeah.
but can you blame us? This world
No.
you live in, man. I mean, what science isn't even science anymore.
Bro, my
You know what I
kids
mean?
come
It's
at me with
crazy.
stuff. They're like, "Oh, did you hear this?" I'm like, "Where did you hear that?" I forgot what it was yesterday, but my son's like TikTok. I'm like, "Bro,
I know.
stop with TikTok
yeah,
news."
Yeah,
man.
TikTok. I would
Come on.
How's your son?
My son's 16. My daughter will be 18, and she's another one. She'll be, "Oh, I saw this on TikTok." I'm
I
like,
got 15.
"What are we doing?"
I got a 15, 13, and 9. Yeah, the TikTok's crazy.
Right.
But yeah, you see how to open up, to put the beer in the cooler? You showed me a way to like flip the bottle. I'm like, holy shit, 30 pack right in the cooler.
well
You
again,
gotta learn from TikTok.
like Mike, you said it. We're in a different day and age.
We are.
Kids are learning things that we took forever to learn. Getting cell phones early, technology early. And it's a plus and it's a minus.
Right.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Well,
It's just a different
that's,
time.
That's
Go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, that's something you gotta navigate. It's tough to navigate with your kids,
Yeah.
And especially like with crimes too, because these kids get taken. Hustle. Like my one son almost. I don't know what happened. Remember I was talking about that? What was that? Oh, somebody wanted to buy his picture,
Oh, yes.
his football picture online. I don't know. That's my son was telling me some shady shit. So it didn't really even match up. You know what I mean? And because some dude sent him like a
Send him
$700
right?
check,
Yeah.
Get out of
and
here.
the check bounced.
Oh, so that's a
Yeah.
scam.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, what the fuck? I'm like, who the hell's buying your picture? Like, what kind of picture are you selling? It was like a football picture. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's
Well, we
scam.
do a lot of like national nights outs for parents who come in us in the ICAC unit, and that we talk about things you need to be aware of as a parent. Like the technology, the phone is a supercomputer in their hands.
It really is.
There's so many things these kids can do on the phone. There's so many predators on all these things that you need to watch, like the Roblox, Minecraft. Get kids off that.
yeah.
TikTok's bad. Even
Because
Instagram.
they can
Instagram's
talk
my
to
bread and
strangers
butter
on there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, my kid's
Right?
into my youngest is into Roblox, and I'm always like, I don't hear it on Roblox. I just got him a PS5 for Christmas, and I'll hear him talking in his room, and he'll be playing what's that shoot room game? I forget what the hell it's called now.
Call of Duty or
Call of
Fortnite.
Duty.
Fortnite's one of them.
And he'll be talking, but I'll hear the kid's voice, and it'll be like a little kid, so I'll be like, all right, I'm not worried about that. You know what I mean? I don't hear any like old creepy dudes on there, but I've never actually heard him talking to anybody on Roblox. So
And a lot of them where you just message back and forth. Like
Yeah.
adults will pose as kids on there.
that's
Oh
crazy.
yeah,
Right,
Oh, yeah.
to lure them in. That's a lot of your child exploitation and ICAC crimes. But a lot of your girls are on those. That from my line of work, the commercial sex side, the pimps are on them. That's my bread and butter. It's kind of what I do. Is that you see proactive investigation. I usually do mine all through Instagram.
So how
That's
do you
crazy.
like lure them in through that? I mean, if you could,
So-
if you could share it.
Yeah, so I like Instagram, but they're on everything: dating apps, all social media types.
apps.
Yeah, Tinder, Plenty of Fish, Tag,
Tinder, like you're
Hinge.
thinking you're getting something, and you gotta be like, oh, I gotta pay for this.
Right.
So-
you think you're meeting a real person.
Right. So we use female officers. They'll be our UCs for us, and we use applications on phones to modify their faces to make them look a little younger, and then you just got to be active. So
Every girl does that, by the way.
Yeah, yeah,
There's not one
right?
girl out there that doesn't
Yeah.
do that.
So we do it. We'll put them up, and then like it's just whatever's in your taglines. There's certain words that you can say that they'll know what you're in. So my job is to catch the pimp. So I'll say, just trying to get a bag. I'm a 304 for life. And then they'll just start messaging you. But you have to kind of play the parts. You got to be active. Constantly make stories or tag other reels that you like from other girls that are in the same line of business.
So
And
how
then-
old are you saying you are?
It depends. Like I did one, the Maryland one. Remember that one?
Yeah.
So last year I started one. Actually, October of last year. The case just closed, so we're good. I had one up. I was visiting family, and a guy messaged me on Instagram. I started playing it up. I got all the evidence I needed. I said I was 16, and the moment in California you say you're a minor and they want to do commercial sex with you, it's automatically human trafficking. If not, it's usually pimping and pandering. There needs to be force, fear, or coercion for it to be human trafficking. So, like, if you're walking on the street as an
Wasn't there
adult,
just
you
a
get hit
story,
them.
though, about California upping the age or no?
Yeah, so
I just heard
it's
recently.
they created the serious felony. So if it's a minor, now it's a strike. So like the 3-strike rule, it wasn't before. It wasn't a serious felony, but now if it's a minor, it's a strike, which is great. Yeah. That was a good thing that Newsom did for that. So I said I was 16. He was about it. He was planning to come to me.
You were being a female?
Yeah, I was pretending to be the female. Just constantly nonstop. We'll have these girls do pretext phone calls for us or FaceTime. I just get all the evidence. I talk to the attorney. It was a 4-month-long investigation. He was supposed to fly out to us in California.
Get out of here.
He wound up not coming, and he wound up buying me a plane ticket in late December, right after Christmas, for her to come to Maryland.
How old was he? Can you say that?
He was an adult, so he was in his 20s or something like that. And
Is there an MLB player right now going through this? What's his name?
Wander Franco,
Where's he from?
Tampa.
No, I know he plays for Tampa. Dominican Republic, but
They got different rules down there, though.
yeah,
They don't apply here.
He was having a full-blown relationship with, what was her age? 15?
She was underage.
She was definitely underage, and they got him with his messages to her. You know,
Yeah.
like
So
I
that's-
could get in a lot of trouble for this, and he was a huge prospect. You know, like not a prospect. He was, doing well, but he was supposed to be the next great, baseball player.
it's just a thing. And I luckily, he bought a ticket at the worst time for us. There was that snowstorm in New York, the Southwest crash, and it was like, you either got to go or the ops burned, and he now knows, like, this girl's either fake or not about it, and all that investigation time was wasted. I got a couple of guys. I got the blessing. We contacted 2 task force out in Maryland, and we went out, created a sting, and wound up catching him. I had a big warrant for his arrest, and we did a couple search warrants for his stuff. I got a governor's warrant to bring him back to California, and he's now in prison in California.
Then when you found like his computer stuff, you found like anything else?
So I went through his phone for what I wanted, but he pled out to a deal. So once you usually plea out and it's closed, we stop. I don't have to do anything else unless there's other charges that you want to do, and that was what I had, and that was what the attorneys were cool with.
What did he get charged with?
He got charged. They charged him with pimping. He pled out to pimping, and he's a
That's an
sex
actual
assistant for
term?
life. Yeah. So pimping is the beneficial gain of commercial sex. So again, if I had a girl in the corner and she made money, she gave me the money. Now I'm a pimp. If I brought her to the corner to work, knowing that, it's pandering. If I brought her to the corner, she said no, and I hit her and pushed her out of the car, now it's human trafficking. As an adult. If it's a minor, it's automatically human trafficking. That's the California law.
Yeah.
See,
So
that's
he,
more
when
rough.
he get hit with that law since he was hitting someone in
Because he
California.
committed a crime in California, yeah.
Did you watch The Sound of Freedom?
I did
Yeah.
not. So I didn't, just because I try to disassociate when I'm not working, and it's very hard to do for cops because it's everywhere. And I was like, that's going to trigger me. It's going to
I was
I
going
don't
to
do
ask you what your take.
my fiance watched it and loved it. So
Okay.
that's the other side.
Why was it surrounded in so much controversy? Why shouldn't that movie be out there?
That should have been everywhere.
released when it came out. What was originally slated to be released in like.
I mean, I just feel like everybody's got an
17, 18 or
agenda.
something?
So whoever didn't want it didn't want it. But my fiance watched it. She loved it. I've talked to the guys that do stuff like that. That's the other side. So that's not America. The U.S. is the biggest buyer, not the supplier. So they'll get them from a third world
Isn't
country.
that
It's
just
easier
fucked up to
to
hear?
sell them here because we have the most money.
Well, it's money.
That's
right?
crazy.
Got a
It's
lot
money.
of disposable
That's why I could
income
never
there.
do that type of unit. I'd rather stick me in narcos, stick me in
I couldn't
street
do
crime.
anything with
Yeah.
kids.
I have a
mean,
kid. I have
it's
a
hard.
son and
I'm
daughter. I
sure
can't
you
do that.
actually
Close to
see
home.
minors. I'm sure you do.
Yeah, we
That's
do.
But playing a fake minor is kind of cool because there's really, it's a crime for sure. I'm not saying it isn't, but nobody is actually. You're a fake person. Nobody's
Yeah.
actually impacted. That girl you're playing is not real.
Yeah, it's a
So,
proactive
yeah.
investigation,
Yeah.
trying to catch them before
I'm
you
not
commit
saying
a
that
crime.
it's not a crime. I'm saying that I probably could do that. I couldn't do anything that was actually with real kids.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
those are harder. I say I don't have kids. I just have a dog and a fiance. So, but like my buddies who do have kids, it's definitely harder because you personalize it and like this
you
is my
guys
kid.
you talk to people? You know what I mean? You got to deal with some crazy shit. And see
Yeah.
some crazy shit. You guys get to unload on someone like in a department,
Yeah, so like, our department's got a mental health unit for us. Like if you need to go talk to someone, they'll arrange for you to go talk to a professional. If you need to, it's all covered. Luckily for our unit or ICAC, there's a lot of grants for mental health and mental wellness. So one of the good things that people don't realize is if you're in our kind of unit, like we can get a grant to get a video game system. So they say don't play music when you're doing this because you're going to associate the song to what you're doing, and it's going to cause a trigger of possible PTSD. Because you're looking at all these images and listening to all these stories. So like the video game's an escape, right? So a lot of that stuff, and we work with a lot of non-government entities, a lot of advocacy groups who give you money for grants to help out whatever you can. It is hard. It's not for everybody. I love dope. Dope was one of my things, but it wasn't a big impact. I saw the movie Taken, and I just fell in love with human trafficking. It's not like that at all for us, at least. That's more the out-of-country side. But the more I get into my field, the more I see it's a problem that just is almost impossible to beat.
Yeah.
All right, but these girls still need help, and it is just an uphill battle. Talking to them, they hate you, right? The jury doesn't
You
like
say
them.
they hate you because they're loyal to their pimp?
Yeah, they're told it's a stigma, right? They're told, don't trust the
Stockholm
cops.
syndrome, right? Yeah.
The cops are not going to do anything for you. They're going to take all your money. They're going to put us away. Why would you go to a cop? They've never helped you in the past. So that stigma is always there,
Yeah.
right? Just like anything else, there's always that kind of reputation, and you got to try to combat it because everybody has a bad experience, and that one bad experience, now you reflect on everybody you know. So every cop they see, if they got pulled over by that one asshole, they're going to they think every cop's like that, which is just that's a human reaction, right? So now I got to combat that. And we do a lot of interview training skills. So I do a lot of child interview classes that are actually phenomenal. And just talking, the more reps you get by talking to the girls and getting them to open up, the easier it gets, and you'll find your own style. Just don't treat them like a suspect and do not judge them. They don't care about anything else but being judged. They just don't want to be judged. And then the pimps are a whole nother thing. They don't care about anybody but themselves most of the time.
I would imagine, right?
The definition of narcissism, probably, right?
Yeah, but again, it all comes back to, and like now that I do this, everybody's like, "Yo, can you look at my kid's phone and stuff like that?" Because people don't know.
Yeah.
Like I caught my buddy on a dating app. I was like, "Hey, dude, like be aware of that dating app. They're all over here. Even the girls are all over. You just don't know it." And they'll eventually get to it, but it's the words they say, the emojis they use. Like I had to go to court and explain an emoji. The guy spoke to me in emojis, and he was telling me
Explain
something.
a little bit.
You
Explain a
wait. Explain to you. You're the king of emojis. When this dude's feeling frisky and wants to like hook up with his wife, what do you do? He sends her an emoji of like an eggplant.
Yeah, well, it's the common ones, but we say like a white rabbit emoji is different for narcotics, and it's different for us. A white rabbit emoji means a white female. For narcotics, it's usually cocaine. So it depends. The money bag symbol is a big one. They use that one. The
What is
eagle, the money bag, like the
money
big bag of
bag,
money.
yeah.
Yeah. So they say they go to get a bag,
transaction,
right? Right, or a band. Like a band's $1,000
Because they think they're not actually saying it. So does that hold up in court when you say,
It's just- yeah.
here's the meaning?
Yeah, it's their lingo. So I say, based on my training experience, I know this to mean this.
Okay.
So like the one I use, or the one that
So
is
Renee
common,
has a case against you, pal.
is 304. So 304 is a really old term. They say I'm not a 304. In the 80s, when you wanted a prostitute, you'd hit the pager 304. When you flip the pager upside down, it spells hoe. Right? So like if a guy says, "Hey, I'm a 16," well, P is the 16th letter of the alphabet. He's saying I'm a P. He's a pimp. Right? It's all my job is to decipher everything, explain totality of circumstances. Like walks like a duck, talks like a duck. It's probably a duck. So you have to learn. You got to do it a lot. So you got to rep it out by talking to people a lot. And we're guys, so we're art of rejections. I've mastered that. So being rejected all the time, we're talking to nonstop people because it's a money game for the pimp. It's not a lust thing. If you're not about it within like the first 2 weeks, they'll usually go on to the next. They'll flash stacks of money at you. They'll ask if you're 10 toes down, which means are you about it? Like how do you do your business? Are you on the net? Are you on the blade? Which means are you on the internet, or are you walking? The blade is a certain area of a city that prostitution happens, right? So people call it the red light district. If it's a legitimate street, they call it the blade or track or stroll. Everybody's different, but they're usually common, and we'll talk to multiple different agencies about this stuff. So once you start learning that stuff and being able to articulate it in court and explain it, because it'll be everywhere. They'll say it. Like if his name is like Trap Daddy, right? Well, I know daddy is a term they use, like the pimp, what we call daddy, and trap is the meaning for the game or the act of prostitution. Right? If we're squares because we're cops, right? A trick is an old term for a sex buyer or a John. They call them plays now. If he hits me up and says, "Hey, let's tap in," I know automatically he's like, "All right, let's do business." So it's a lot of learning. You gotta learn, because again, this is a new topic. No one really knows what this stuff's about. So when we go to court, we're educating as much as we're testifying.
Right.
And all it takes is one person to doubt you. So it's really hard to try to convince everybody. Exactly, because the girls will sometimes combat you. All of a sudden, they'll retract their statement they told you, or they won't show up to court. So there's a lot, but that's now with everything. It's a big uphill
So that's
battle.
like a big thing. The girls don't want you to help them for the most part.
So sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, right? It depends on the situation. Some girls are like, you know what? Yeah, I need to get out of this life and I need help. And then all of a sudden a week later, they're back into it, right? Or some girls just like, we're doing fine. That's my boyfriend. We're not doing anything wrong. I'll find all the evidence I need. She doesn't want to cooperate, whatever, fine. And now it's all on me. And they're
sure
there's no victim.
It's
Why do you want to be
incredibly
here?
hard. You probably can't do follow-ups with these girls and whatever, I'm sure. But
I mean, we
do
tried
any
to.
of them go on to lead normal lives after living a crazy life like that?
Yeah, there are a bunch because they'll come to like our training conferences and talk to us. Like I remember, I'll never forget this one story of a lady. I don't even remember her name, but she did like an hour-long speech, and she told me that she met a friend. They were partying, right? She stayed at her friend's house. Didn't have any money, and the friend's like, "You owe me money for last night. I don't have anything." She gave her a bikini, took her to a strip club. You're gonna go work, and then she was stuck in prostitution after that. Addicted to drugs, got stuck in prostitution, had a bunch of kids, got a record, and then the habit starts. Right? I feel like I can't get out of this life. This is the only life I know. I'm hopeless without this. Right? Being confident is not a human instinct. Fear is a human instinct because it's survival. Well, being confident to go in the ring, to take on obstacles that are struggle, to overcome this adversity is not natural. So a lot of them just be like, well, this is the only way I know how to live. I don't know any other way than this.
Are drugs usually involved?
It depends on the city. And depends on the city, and also depends on
Culture too, right?
the culture, yeah.
Yeah.
So like in Jersey, I know heroin's a big drug. Well, in California, crystal meth is a big drug. So, like, I found drugs on prostitutes. Sometimes I'll get them addicted to it. Sometimes that'll be the reward, right? We caught prostitutes with guns. Like, these survivors come with guns. I get it. You got to protect yourself,
Yeah.
right? You don't know who's on the other side of that door. So some of them, like, I can't
Does
believe it
the
was
pimp-
you.
Does the pimp protect them? Are they supposed to?
They're supposed to. That's their job, right? The pimp says, I'm here for your protection. You give me the money. I'll get us whatever you need. A lot of them will say, like, you want that Benz? You want that apartment on your own? Like, work with me and I'm going to get you there. So that's the line they give out. Does it really happen? I don't know. I'm not actually down there seeing if something bad happens to the girl. I'm the one they go to see so we can stop it from happening.
I met a pimp once.
They're all over.
No, one came to my house.
Yeah.
When I first moved here, I just remember this story. Yeah, listen to this story. I just remember this. I won't say I can say his name because it's not his real name, but everybody back home will know him. Woody, my friend Woody, moved here with me to Jersey, and I rented a house in Forked River. First year I lived here, 98, right? We rented a house for a year in Forked River. I lived with my buddy Woody. He was a little bit younger than me, but he liked to party. Woody liked to party. And one weekend, he was partying. We had a bunch of people over, and I went to bed. Well, apparently, Woody had called some number for a prostitute, and there was this banging at the door at like 4 or 5 a.m., and I go and answer it, and there's a dude like, hey, I'm here to see Andrew. And I look in the car, and there's a chick sitting in the car. Well, this dude wanted to get paid. I went in and said, yo, there's fucking some dude here that don't look happy who wants to talk to you. He's like, no, tell him to go away. I was like, fuck you, bro. You go tell him to go away. You know what I mean? So Andrew had to go talk to him and sent the dude away, and the dude wasn't happy. He must have given him some money to send him away. I don't know, but
That happens. Like the pimp will come, get to the door, you owe me this, and have the girl go.
he did not look happy. The
Right?
dude was not.
They'll do it through text message to try to scare you. Say they're going to kill your family.
Really?
Yeah, that's another
Venmo,
scam.
Zelle me, cash at me, and then once you do that transaction,
Yeah,
your money's gone.
you're gone.
Yeah, and it's almost hard to get back.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's super hard to trace back. Like I just watched that movie, The Beekeeper. See that one?
No.
It's pretty much like this older lady gets scammed out of all of her money, and then Jason Statham just goes and does Jason Statham and tears everybody apart. It's a great action movie, but that's common, especially for the elderly. Like,
Yeah.
hey, my
What
nephew
used
was
to be- You know
kidnapped.
what used to get the elderly all the time? It would be the prince that just needs 10
yeah.
grand or
Yes.
Yeah.
whatever it is, 25 grand in an email to some old person. And I'm the heir to millions, and if you give me 10 grand, I'll give you $1 million.
That was the
Now they
old
got
school.
deep
So
fakes
many
with
people.
the voice, and like kids are calling.
Yeah.
Like you get
Yeah.
your kid calling.
Grandkids.
I'm not
the
kidnapped, I need
AI
money.
is insane.
You were saying in the beginning of this that technology is great and bad at the same time. I think for me, in my opinion, because I'm a dad now, that pendulum is sort of swinging more to evil than it is
bad,
good.
man. Yeah, it's all
there
bad.
is certainly some goods to it, no question. But for me, on a personal note,
I
just
agree-
because
I
I'm a
agree with
dad,
you.
I think the pendulum is now going more
Well, you
towards
see
evil.
that? You ever see the documentary "Social Dilemma"? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it's saying.
I mean, I agree with you. And it's like anything. You use it too much, you abuse it. This is what happens. You become reliant on it.
Sure.
That ChatGPT,
Yeah.
right? Like Now people are just doing things for you on that,
fucking
taking away
right,
jobs.
We've talked about that. Pretty soon, what were you saying? They were saying pretty soon it's going to actually teach itself. And
Yeah, once it becomes exponential, then it's
Yeah, I saw
Right? Like,
somebody
I feel like no
talking
one's
about
seen a
that.
'90s movie, Matrix,
the
Terminator.
Terminator,
Come on,
yeah.
like those are like precursors for what's gonna happen.
real.
But
Yeah.
these kids grew up with this. They don't know anything else but this.
But isn't Musk out there yelling this right now to everybody? Like, stop.
He's been.
But- But ignorance is bliss, right? Everybody's in denial until it actually happens to them. Everybody has to learn the hard
It's
way.
also just like the nature of humans, right? We're
Yeah.
always trying to
it says AI
do the
is
next
most
better thing,
dangerous
whatever
thing
it is.
for
I mean,
us.
he also just did a Neuralink for a human.
Yeah, someone
so.
he just implanted it. So exactly, he's like, oh, don't do that. You're putting fucking chips in people's brains, bro.
But you defended that because I said that, and you defended. And you said, no, I don't think it's like that. It's like for if a person can't see or a person
No,
can't
yeah,
hear.
I'm saying that's how it's starting.
Right.
That's
right,
how it's
right.
starting. Then what can it lead
Yeah,
to?
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, right? Like, what can they put in your head now? What can they
Then it's gonna
program
be like,
you to
yo,
do?
it's gonna be all right. They put this chip in your head. You're fucking now. You can bench press 600 pounds. Are you gonna do it?
I might.
Yeah, go get that chip tomorrow.
I might do it.
Do it. You know what I'm saying? Come on.
You got some records, man. What are some of your records for powerlifting?
Powerlifting.
The world?
Well,
Living the world?
I mean, I have most of my records are in police and fire division.
Okay.
So I mean, like, they're heavy, but I'm not gonna brag about them. But
what's your jam?
So you gotta-
Everybody's usually got one thing that they
the
excel
deadlift
at.
and the bench are my two best.
Really?
Squat is just ass. Like I wouldn't. Yeah, it's squats are like I feel like I'm getting older and
It's probably 10 times heavier than
Oh, yeah.
Rogers.
Oh,
no,
100%.
mine too.
I mean-
I've never been like
you're
that.
fucking tall as shit, bro. You squatting so
I've
crazy.
never been
right?
stupid strong.
the
My
problem
best,
is
my best bench ever was 405 10 years ago.
Pretty
raw though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I would never do 405 raw. You see me in these bench shirts, and that's why I'm all banged up and hurt.
Yeah.
You know, you're supposed to load
But
that
that
shirt.
doesn't count, right? With that elastic. I've used those because in my head I was like, if I can do it with this, then mentally I can do it,
Yeah.
and I'll take it off. And maybe I can do it.
So that's how I got involved with Bergen
Slingshot,
County.
right?
Slingshot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
the
slingshot.
slingshot.
Who
But they even
invented that?
goes.
somebody.
Mark Bell had the
Mark
slingshot.
Bell,
Yeah,
Mark
yeah.
Bell.
But then you have things that like anything else, this shit evolved. So now we got widow makers we're putting on us. We have bench shirts that you put on and you read in the back and it says it could withhold a bullet. So I could literally shoot my
compression
bench.
shirt?
Yeah,
You mean, yeah.
I could shoot it and it's not going to penetrate the bench shirt. And that's what I'm putting on me to bench press. It's crazy.
What is it made of?
I can't. I don't know. It's made of like multiply like material, but
Kevlar?
you load that and you basically doing a barbell roll instead of a raw bench, and you have to roll that slow. You know Joel, right, Terenzo?
Yeah.
I think I seen you at one of our meets a while ago. But
Up
he was
in-
there.
Yeah, I haven't been to any recently.
Newark.
I went to one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it Newark? It might have been Newark. Yeah.
Yeah, it was at the
right
Ramada.
above
Yeah, right by the
You were
right by the
there?
prison. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
there. I seen you. I had some
Yeah,
kids lifting
my
in the
buddy
meet.
Nick was lifting in it.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
But Joel, that dude, he was the bald corrections guy.
Yeah.
He did 800 pounds in that shirt.
bench.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You know, and it sucks because it counts in that division. So you lift in a multiplied division. You're not like I'm not counted against guys that are lifting raw with nothing on. So we were in our own division. But like my 555 in that shirt, I'm not keeping up with these fucking guys doing like Delafav's almost at 900.
Yep. That's insane.
It's nuts.
I think it's insane that the human body can do that.
But I started doing that.
It just shows how
for-
remarkable it is.
I started doing that for a police department. I made a team. I was like, fuck it, I'll do a team. We got this big sports program in NYPD. I'll add the powerlifting team. And it attracted almost 60 people at first back in 2018-19. And that's what we were doing. We were going around lifting with each other. And it became like a thing where people were like feeling good lifting. We started bringing weightlifting back into the police department where it was kind of taboo for a while for some odd reason. Then we started linking it up with mental health. So, like, if you're feeling shitty and you feel, come lift with us. You're going to feel good in a heartbeat,
This
right?
guy's a big proponent for that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
we
I
do the
mean,
same
it
thing.
definitely does something good for you, right? It's not all aesthetic. It's good for the brain.
100%,
You know, I argue that with a lot of people to this day that are like, oh, but you know, you guys lift heavy weights. All right, so what? You don't have to lift that heavy. Lighten it up, but be active and do something. You need to lift something.
You're directing that
I'm
that
big
energy.
on lifting.
towards
I'm like,
something.
even though lifting's
exercise
not
in general. Yeah.
the most
Yeah.
important thing for fighting, but lifting for getting old is important, dude.
You have to.
They need to lift weights.
Keeps things.
You
loose.
need
have
resistance
to.
training.
You,
So
even
we
when I'm
work out
trying
all
to
the time.
explain like my injuries and why I'm doing stem cells, people look at me like I'm crazy. I don't know if you had it, like talking to people like that don't know when, oh my God, stem cells, like are you gonna die? Like, no man, I'm not. Like it's
I'm gonna
good
fucking
stuff.
live forever, bro.
It's stem
That's what I'm gonna
cells.
do.
It's just crazy. Even my father, he's like, "You sure that's good?" I'm like, "Dad, it's good, man. I put it in my lower back, L4, L5 hips. I'm good to go." Now I'm
He's
doing
L4, L5. I'm L4, L5.
yeah.
How many times do we talk? Because we do a lot of the same things, and we're like, everybody else is like thinks we're nuts.
Yeah.
They think we're conspiracy theorists. They think we're trying like magic. They think we're nuts. I was like, yeah, but I'm seeing all these famous actors, Stallone, Schwarzenegger, like they're looking phenomenal at 70.
Right.
What's the cheat
No,
code?
Stallone is jacked
Right.
up, bro. Still, just Stallone's.
Stallone is more so than Schwarzenegger.
Tulsa King.
You
He's
were
like, he's like,
We were just talking about this before you
75,
guys.
right?
Yeah,
He's
it's
75
crazy.
years
Look what they're
old.
still
He
doing.
actually got caught years ago sneaking on a private jet, flying into Australia, and they
No,
busted
but he's
him.
not denying.
and he was like,
No,
"So
he's
what?"
not.
He's
Well, this guy was just telling me what's the fucking wrestler?
John Cena.
Yeah.
Cena.
saying he's natural.
Natural.
I'm
Come
all
on.
natural.
Oh, man.
I don't think
he's on
anybody
Logan
is.
Paul's.
No way.
He's on Logan Paul's podcast, and Logan Paul's like, "Well, what's your?" He's like, and he's saying, "I don't think there's anything wrong with it. You know, there's definitely applications for it." So I'm just, at 46, my levels are good on it. He's like, "Well, what's your level at?" He's like, 840. The fuck.
he's
outta
on
here, bro.
TRT, man. Maybe he's not on all the other stuff he used to
No.
be on.
Yeah.
But right now he's
Exactly,
TRT.
Well, yeah, but
100%.
used to be. Okay, so you do believe
Used
though,
to be.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
He's saying
He's a
never. All
monster. He's
natural.
fucking
He's
on,
like
man.
Mike
monster.
O'Hearn. Mike O'Hearn says the same thing.
That's
Never
crazy.
touched anything. Come on, bro. Like, be honest. Be honest.
I mean,
Nobody has that good of genetics.
Wait.
Nobody.
Kurt Angle, sick genetics.
Yeah, Kurt Angle, but he does.
See, but
Kurt
he-
Angle has, but I wouldn't say he looks like a fitness. He's just a freak.
Yeah.
He's just, he doesn't look.
He's
like
actually
a guy
he's a fucking great dude, man. He's a big supporter of us. Constantly hits us up. That dude doesn't have to say anything to us, and he DMs us on Instagram. He's a he's big involved in our.
Didn't Kurt hit you up when you got in? You were telling me somebody hit you up.
Stone Cold.
Oh, Stone Cold. Sorry,
Yeah.
Stone Cold. Yeah.
that's pretty
But
cool.
Kurt,
Yeah,
we
that's
went
a
to
cool
the same
dude,
college.
too.
Me and Kurt.
Clarion?
He's older than me. Yeah, Clarion.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like so we started the PD team, right? Just to show you where the police department gets a little weird. So like you do MMA. Like why there's guys we have that want to do an MMA team and they kind of like shying away
They
from
don't
it.
have it, but and they boxing team. Now,
We do
right?
the boxing. They do. My friend Vinny does the boxing team. So they do phenomenal. They travel all over the world. But like the MMA portion, it's almost like they're afraid to jump in on it. And
It's the stigma.
it's
the
like
stigma
why,
and taboo.
man? Like if everybody knew how to do what you did,
They should do. Well, I know they what's it called?
Firemen
Leo,
do it.
Leo, like
yeah,
Leo Jiu-Jitsu leagues. You know what I mean? Law enforcement leagues.
yeah,
Yeah.
for
like you could
jiu-jitsu,
go,
like, they
you
should
could
do
go
that for
out
you
and do
guys.
your own private thing, but like like they should offer that stuff up front.
You said stigma. What do you mean?
Yeah, so like
Because-
anything that looks violent is
Right,
bad,
right.
right. Why are you teaching? And I'm a martial artist.
Yeah.
Like I love it. Kickboxing, boxing, done it all.
Not a good look
Martial
for the public.
the perception they don't want, right? I'm very much in the
MMA.
fitness.
But
I
that's the
could
dumbest
see
shit
it.
in the world.
It is
though,
dumb.
So
because
they'll
the more
let
you
you-
know,
right?
the more you're gonna be able to
The more
control
you can be
someone,
safe,
and
right?
the more you know, the more confident
Right.
you are. You know what I mean? Like if you're a fucking cop out there and you gotta approach someone, you're like, I don't know if I can handle this guy. You're
Yeah,
gonna fucking be.
yeah.
you're gonna be
You
quicker
lose
to
before
pull your
it
gun,
starts,
bro.
right?
I mean, you know,
And
more
every
confident
cop's at a
guy is gonna be little
disadvantage,
less confident
right?
to do
But
that, you know?
I think jujitsu would be a better because there's not a lot. You don't generally bleed in jujitsu, right? MMA. He's saying MMA for police. A lot of bleeding in MMA.
Yeah, we
But
have a
for
lot
your
of jujitsu
public
programs.
Persona, it probably doesn't look great as you know.
All right.
Yeah, but
And-
I mean, like you just learn how to. You just learn how to protect yourself in all areas of MMA. MMA just makes
No,
you.
I think it's great. I
well-rounded,
was trying to
you know.
understand what he meant, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get what you're saying.
And
Yeah, why they say that, I mean.
you know, cops have to be an alpha mentality, but you have all different, you know, walks of life being cops. Some people just aren't like that and don't want to do that. Jiu-jitsu is in appearance wise, just like visually doesn't look hurtful. There's no pain. It's uncomfort. When you hit someone in the face, it's a completely different ball game, right?
For sure.
So and cops, in my opinion, are the most undertrained profession out there. That needs to be the most trained profession out there. We usually get 10 hours of training a year.
Mandatory.
Right,
Should be
and it's an
mandatory.
evolving job. So
Should be.
there's so much stuff you need to know: how to report right, tactics, shooting, officer safety, how to fight, how to de-escalate, how to talk to people in an interview. It's a lot,
hard
and
job, dude.
some people just don't have an interest in fighting, and they hope they never get in a fight a day in their life. But fighting's becoming a more prevalent thing. Like people are now challenging us, and you know, with the vest, the belt, you're at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Usually the guys aren't in the right head. They'll have a stimulant or alcohol or mental illness, and all right, well now they don't feel pain, and there's limited restrictions on what you can and can't do for use of force to overcome resistance, unless it's an aggressive, combative person who's like trying to take your life.
Speaking of that, and kick it over to Mike here, the NYC guy. And I don't know how much you can speak on this. If you can, you can't. How much you know, how much you don't know. But use of force, the Daniel Penny case, the subway case, the Marine who, there was a guy on the, correct me if I'm saying this wrong, but there was an aggressive passenger on there that was threatening some of the riders, and there was a Marine, I forget his name, but put him in a choke, and the man passed away. And a lot of the people that were on that subway said, we felt like he was helping us, saving us, whatever. Well, anyway, recently, just in the last week, I guess, his motion to dismiss that case was denied, and he's going to have to go to trial.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say much because it's ongoing. And obviously, my fucking picture was in the paper every day since that happened.
Wait, your picture?
Yeah,
Oh,
I was
really?
escorting him out of the precinct.
Oh, okay.
But
It seems to be in these more liberal cities, they are coming down very hard on any protecting yourself or doing any sort of anything that could be deemed violent at all.
Yeah.
But even protecting your own welfare, you know what I mean?
It's tough. I mean, I wish I could get into it, but I'll put it like this: if my kid, my daughter was on the subway, I would hope that if something was going fucked up on that subway, somebody would intervene and make sure that everybody was okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially if when you have kids, you look at things completely different. Yeah.
So now, is this guy Penny's his name? You said
Daniel.
Now, will he get rep? Like he goes and go to trial? Is he gonna get rep? Who's gonna represent him? He has his own lawyer, or is he gonna get appointed one?
No, he got his own lawyer, and I don't know his name, but I think it was the guy that ran for mayor. I don't know if you know the name, but he was one of the guys that ran for mayor, wound up losing. But I believe that's his lawyer.
Because of where it happened and where he is, this guy doesn't stand a very good chance of getting a fair trial.
New York's tough.
It's gonna be his peer, right? A jury.
Yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah.
So jury's got to decide.
I mean, you got to think about it.
New Yorkers and they're on. They take the fucking subway. Hope they realize,
Dude, Trump
they
just
could
got
be in
an
that situation.
$83 million settlement against him from a crazy.
We
one.
got to look at. You got to look at this too, right?
For raping the crypt keeper.
It was not raping her. It was not SA. He got the $83 million settlement for defamation for saying she's a nut job.
No, because he's saying he didn't rape her. I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
she's not my type.
He said
That
she's
was the
not
crime.
his
She's
type.
not my
Yeah.
type.
Wow.
And he got an $83 million settlement
She looked
against
rough,
him.
bro.
Did
Bro,
you see what
she's
she
got
just
like
said?
5 different allegations or something like that.
Did you just see her interview the other day, or maybe this morning?
Well, I saw the one back a while ago where Anderson Cooper was like, "Let's go for a break," where she said, "Rape can be sexy."
Well, that was one, but the one
He's
where
like,
they
let's
asked
go to
her,
break. Let's go to break.
they
This
asked her
one-
what she's gonna do with her money.
Yeah, she's like, I'll get you a fishing rod. I'll get you a new penthouse. I'll get you the
man,
woman
it's
insane.
It's scary.
Did you see the interview? They did an interview with her at her home, and she took him for like a little walk. Whoever was interviewing, a little walk through her garden and in her backyard and stuff. And the trees in her backyard are all painted blue. And they're like, "Why are these trees painted blue?" She's like, "Well, I painted one. I thought one tree would look good, and it looked so good. I just painted all the trees blue." Like,
And this is who we're paying money.
that's
It's
insanity.
I don't know, man.
insanity. And apparently, she's accused a bunch of other people of SA. as well.
she has.
Yeah.
She's accused a bunch of other people.
it's unexplainable.
She was on the cover of New York
Who,
Magazine.
Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg? Was she
I
going
don't
after
know.
all the fucking rich guys?
She was wearing an outfit. I saw this, and I may misquote this a little bit, but Andrew could look it up. She was wearing an outfit. I believe she was on the cover of New York Magazine wearing the outfit that supposedly, because she was, essayed in a department store dressing room, I believe. And she wanted to wear the same outfit that she was wearing, and the designer of that outfit came out and said, "Wait, when did this supposed crime happen?" And the lady was like, "Whatever, 1984." She's like, "I didn't even put that outfit out until like 87, so it was impossible."
What was
Yeah.
he? He was Mexican?
What did I say?
You said he essayed.
Yeah, it's just a scary time right now,
It
man.
is.
You don't know
So yeah, okay,
what's going to happen.
allowed to-
you've been a cop for 20 years, right?
Yeah.
So you've seen a lot. I have a buddy that works at NBC, and he's for 15 years, and he's like, the city's fucking crazy now. And he literally see a wacko walking down the street. He's like, I'll cross the street, go down.
You got to cross the street.
Is
You
it
have
re-
to.
is it like, noticeable? Like I've been to the city.
It's definitely noticeable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, now you have the migrants being busted in there, which noticeable as hell. Like like it's Lower Manhattan is crazy.
Yeah.
And again, I won't knock Adams because I feel like you took over a job right away that was going to be hard, right? And the guy's doing everything he can do. But when you have a city council that's just so gun ho on changing shit up, like you're almost at a losing battle. So
He has to get that approval from them, right?
yeah, and then you're constantly wasting time. Now he's got to veto it, and then he's got to go back and forth with them, and like you can't let the guy do anything he wants to do because he's tied up with the city council. So,
And he's appointed by the city council, right?
right, it's just all it's like I don't
you're
know
like an
enough
at-will
of the
employee.
specifics to but I do know that he's out there for us. Whatever he's trying to get done is just almost impossible because of the city council that's constantly going back and forth on him. I don't think that you'll ever see New York City the way it used to be again. My daughter now.
All right.
Go
You
ahead.
think, just like in the 80s, like my dad would, in the 80s, early 90s, like the city was kind of fucked up, right?
Yeah.
A little shady. Then, like 95 to 2020 was pretty
Dope.
damn good.
Yeah, it was good.
Really good.
Yeah.
Now it's like going the other way.
The 80s, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Bernie Gates subway case, right? That was 40 years ago,
Yeah.
basically, right? Very different outcome with that case.
Different era, different people,
time,
different
but
jury.
But crime was high at that
Yeah.
time. That was 84, I believe. And, he shot 4 men on a subway who were, allegedly trying to get money from him, right? They were I don't know if he was being mugged. But
Yeah,
they
well, he was just
basically
texting
said-
about that, right? Is that what AJ was texting?
Yeah. Somebody in that group chat. But he said, well, he had been a few years before. He had been mugged and actually had injuries, and I guess it made him paranoid. And then he started carrying a gun, and he's on the subway, and these 4 teenagers said, give me. I think it was only $5. Give me $5, and he blasted them. But he only ended up, and none of them died. One ended up paralyzed, but he ended up only getting charged with the gun. I believe they tried to get him for. Manslaughter, and I forget what the charges were, but no, nobody
Or
died.
attempted manslaughter.
Attempted murder.
Yeah, attempted.
Attempted murder. And the gun charge was the only one that he ended up. Now he lost a civil suit years later, like 10 years later, for the guy that got paralyzed, and he got millions.
Different era, different
But
outcome
just-
today.
Yeah, very different.
100%.
Very different.
Oh,
time
yeah.
we live in.
It's scary. My daughter now, she's looking at colleges, so she's getting.
Keep her out of the cities, or we're gonna send her.
I'm trying my hardest, right? She's getting Oklahoma State, Coastal Carolina, UTamp is a possibility right now, but she's making these great schools, and she's got a heart set on FIT, LIM, and I'm like, I don't want to talk her out of anything that she wants to do, but I see what's here.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be the bad guy, but now I'm going to, I plan on moving also when I retire. I don't want to stay in New York.
Right.
So now I got to worry that she's going to be in the city doing this.
tough,
And, and the people argue, but she's only jumping from here to there. She could take the bus. But I'm
Coming
like,
to Jersey,
still,
buddy?
man.
You'll be our neighbor.
I'm actually pissed I didn't come to Jersey years ago when I wanted to. But at that time, they were cracking down on us. So if we came out here, it'd be like, yo, you got 90 days to get back to New York City. Get rid of your house or you're fired.
I know that happened to a couple firemen that I know they were cracking down on them for a while too. And he had kind of a fake address, but he had to have.
It's crazy. Like, you could live in Westchester, 4 hours away from the city, like the ass end of New York, but I can't come down here. But I mean, I'm looking to get far now. Florida, Carolinas, somewhere.
The older I get, man, I used to be a Four Seasons guy. I used to enjoy the winters. I used to fuck that. I like
why I
summer,
moved.
fall. That's it.
Yeah, well,
why I
I'm a big winter guy too, believe it or not. But I gotta say, I went to visit my partner's one of those dudes that resigned. He was a military guy. They were like, you got to take the vaccine. He left, walked off the job.
Just shake that man's hand. That's
Bought
what I do.
3 years of his military or 4 years of his military time, which bought him to 20 years, so he was able to retire like a normal person.
Right.
He's out in Sarasota. When I went to visit him this summer, I was like, man, this is awesome.
Yeah,
What am I doing here?
My jiu-jitsu coach opened up a school down there, Sarasota.
Beautiful. Beautiful. It's like normal
Horse track
people.
up there? Sarasota?
Dog track in
Dog,
Sarasota.
Is there a dog track there?
Pretty sure. Pretty sure. It used to be. They may have shut it down though.
But I mean, you talk about and everybody's got a garage, like a gym in their garage. The garages are open. People are nice.
Yeah.
You know, you see American flags
Well,
flying around.
That's the West Coast. You go to the East Coast of Florida, it's
probably
fucking
different.
Jersey. Everyone's
Yeah.
pissed off. It's hot. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's where everybody retires to. That's why.
Yeah. It's all us East Coasters.
my mom moved West Coast when she left Jersey. She moved to Fort Myers. They built a house down there on like a golf course.
They just got hammered. Fort Myers.
Yeah, it did. But they were looking to retire and live the quiet. They were looking to get out of the Jersey rat race. She said it was too quiet. It was too quiet over there.
Fort Myers.
Yeah,
Fort Myers is
too
beautiful
quiet,
too.
yeah.
That'd probably be the only spot I'd go to and be a cop again. To be honest with you, it's down in Fort
Myers?
Myers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you do that again? Could you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially out there. Like I'm 41, so for me, like I'll do it again, but not here.
All right. Yeah,
You know, I just want to leave when I can, without no interruptions.
Have you ever seen that documentary? Was it Precinct 7 something about the dude Mike? Was his name Mike? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, you talking about Mike Dowd?
Yeah.
That was some wild.
What
That's
was that? What was that documentary?
7-5.
7-5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all true.
Oh, bro.
Oof.
It's about 80s, 70s, 80s.
Probably 80s, 90s,
Yeah,
right?
80s, 90s. He
The
was a
Cocaine
detective,
Cowboys?
right?
Yeah.
Well, he's one. Yeah, he's
one of
Michael
those.
Dowd. And you know
Mike
what's
Dowd,
crazy
he's
about?
fucking sounds like this guy. Sounds like, you know what I mean? He's like New York guy. Fucking really. Where he was on Rogan's podcast. Fucking great storyteller. Doesn't shut the fuck up really, you know? And bro, wildness. He was literally selling drugs for the department.
I mean, but like you don't buy a fucking Ferrari and then bring it to work.
Oh, I do know
Yeah.
that story a little bit. Yeah. I do know that story. Yeah.
What's the saying we say? We don't catch the bright ones.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he waited. It's crazy. If you watch that documentary, you're like,
Yes.
there's no way
I
this
know that
happened.
story now. Yeah.
And then you're like, yep, that actually
Yeah, because
happened.
he started driving like a $90,000 Corvette to work
parking
every
it-
day. Or
parking
something,
it
and
to
that's what
work.
tipped him off,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Cops are the worst, bro. If they see something you have and they don't like what you have, they will try to screw you over. You know, it's weird over there.
I told Frankie this story. I sold a truck years ago. I won't even say the town where this guy was a cop, but he. You remember this story? The guy. I'll tell you the town after, but I don't want to get the dude in trouble. He bought my truck, but he showed up and we're talking to him. I was selling a truck. I had a lifted Dodge truck or whatever, and I put it on what back then was probably Craigslist. This is probably like 15, 20 years ago.
Craigslist.
And he showed up and he's in my kitchen. He looked at it. He was like, "I'll put some money down on it, today, and then meet me whatever Thursday. Meet me at the rest area, and I'll take the truck. I'll give you the rest." I was like, "All right," but I saw the impression he had a handgun, and I was like, "Fuck, is this dude gonna fuck it?" And I was like, he looked like a cop. Like, this dude's got to be a cop. So I said, "You on the job?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, you saw the gun?" And I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Well, let me tell you a story." He's like, "This money I'm about to give you," and he pulls out a wad. It was like $4,000 maybe, something like that. He's like, "I just took this off a guy." I was like,
Oh,
"What do you mean?"
shit.
Oh,
He's
jeez.
like, "Bro,
Why
this
would
guy,
he tell you that?
This guy.
Fucking
Well, I'm
guy.
not ratting him out because I'm not.
Oh, you're
saying-
not just telling fucking the world on a podcast.
Mason? Yeah, you don't even know the town, bro.
I'm
You don't even know the
joking.
town.
I'm joking.
So anyway, he's like, "Dude, I busted this dude." He's like, "My shift ended." He's a plainclothes officer. Once I say the town, you'll be like, "Yeah, not surprised." But plainclothes guy. He said, "My shift is about to end. I'm walking, and I see this dude do a deal right in front of me." And he's like, I just walk up and I say, "Yo, give me your fucking wad." Calls him by his name, like, "Yo, give me your wad." Dude's like, "I'm not giving you my money." He's like, "Well, you're gonna go to jail then." He's like, "This would be like the fucking 5th time I've locked you up." Dude fucking just handed him his wad, and that's how he put his down payment. on my truck.
You
Jesus.
should have charged him more.
Shit.
Yeah.
Being a cop back then was like before I even got on the
That
job.
was probably 15 years ago at least. So.
If you even like when I first got on, I would have old timers say, "Oh man, it's not like it used to be," and I'm like, "But this, like to me, it was awesome. Like you can't. The academy was like high school with guns. It was like 21 Jump Street.
I feel like
Once
the
one
departments
group
are high
did
school
day
with guns.
tours, I was on the 4 to 12 group with my guys. You graduate the academy, they put you in a busy command. Usually, I went down to the 120 in Staten Island, and you with like all the guys you spent 6 months with in the academy that you became friends. I didn't have a big family, so these guys were my family. Right. And like you're running around in these busy neighborhoods. At that time, we had cops with time on that could calm you the fuck down and be like, "Yo, calm down. This is the right way to do it." That's the problem now. You got these kids coming out, and there's not enough guys with time on to calm them down. And plus, to be honest,
so
if I
true.
tell some kid how to do something, he's probably gonna be like, "Oh, fuck you. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear what you got to tell me."
Respect,
Right.
Yeah.
I got into a cop car years ago with this guy, Angel Ortiz. I'll never forget it. Hardcore Spanish dude. He looked at me. He's like, "Don't touch the fucking radio, and don't touch the fucking radio on your hip." Just like that. I was like, "All right,
Don't call nothing in.
no problem." He's like, "Just listen." And I listened for 10 hours with this dude. And ever since that day, even today, like he's retired now, I see him once in a while, he'll laugh. And he'll be like, "Yo, you turned out good." I'm like, "Well, you're the reason why we turned
Yeah.
out good. We don't have guys like you no more that put you in your place right away." Because if
or
you
willing
come
to teach.
Right. If you come on the job wild, you're just gonna fall, man. You can't.
There's
You
too
can
many
run
things you
around
can
like
do
you're a
wrong.
motley
Can't be a
crew. It's
cowboy.
it's insane.
Can't be a cowboy.
No, no,
Not in today. But Mike really hit the nail on the head. And I think we're just coming into a day and age where all the old school guys are just their time's done. Their 30 years are up, 20 years are up, and they're coming out, and they're all coming out at the same time.
Yeah.
So now you're having a lot of junior departments, a lot of young departments,
Yeah.
and then the
Fucking
generation
millennials.
just coming in are just like that. Like they don't want to listen. I'm a young cop. I'm a millennial, unfortunately. And it's just, I had good upbringings and I had good mentors that literally took the time to teach me the ropes and
Well,
teach
it's
me
not
the.
every millennial.
This is
It can't be.
no,
Otherwise,
but,
if that's the- if
but it's
that's-
our
that is
generation's
the way
to
it is,
start,
we're fucked.
right?
Yeah,
Our
it's
generation's
weird.
to start.
Yeah.
So it starts with us, and then it goes down to the Gen Zs.
Right.
And I was just fortunate enough that I had guys who wanted to teach me the right way to do it, and I just kept my mouth shut and I wanted to be good at my job, right? That's my thing is I just want to be good at whatever I do. So I wanted to listen. I didn't think I knew it all. I got schooled when I was being cocky, and you don't have that anymore, right? And it's very hard because there's complaints. People don't want to get in trouble. They're like, I just want to do my job, go home, not go get liable for anything, not see my name on the media, and you can't blame the guy for that.
Yeah.
We're just in a different time, and no one knows how to navigate it yet, right? Because a lot of your guys that are still heads in command are the old school guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Chiefs are probably that generation,
they're
right? Yeah.
the old school guys, but they don't really know how to deal with the new school guys.
I'm sure it's
and
aggravating as hell.
So you're at this great, and yeah, I think it's in the last since 2020, whatever's happened has greatly drastically changed the way people do things now, the way people talk to each other, interact,
Absolutely.
and that's unnatural for it to be that fast. So no one knows how to deal with it.
Right.
Even our job, any other job, it's like now technology's massive. Working at home hurt a lot of things and changed a lot of things up, and just how we deal with people, the mental
Well,
health
working
thing's
that
huge.
whole home stuff killed a lot of the
everybody.
kids
Yeah.
too, man.
Right.
Yeah.
The social skills are gone.
We're
That's-
also in a time where fear mongering is at an all-time high,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I know I've heard some numbers that that correlates into domestic suicides, and people are stressed the fuck out
Yeah.
right now, which makes you guys' job harder, right?
Yeah. But not even that. I feel ignorance is bliss. When I was growing up, we'd play outside till the lights came on, right?
Yeah.
Can't do that anymore. I wouldn't even do that because we know too much. There's just too much in your hand that you can be like, what can I find out? Right? You can look at any sex registrant. It's public knowledge. It's mandatory that they have to register in the city they go in.
The red dots.
All the ones in your block, right?
You fucking-
Just
you look at
that
it's
alone.
fucking
Yeah.
crazy.
You got a lot out here too.
Oh, yeah.
Off
pop
30
up?
There's a section off 37 where there's pretty high density of them.
All right, and
Man.
like we talked about earlier, like your media pushes one narrative, which can influence you in so many ways. I think this is just one way the world is, and it's like everybody's now paranoid, can't survive, and hey, I can't let you go. And I'm a paranoid guy. I'm a helicopter parent to my dog. Like, I know all the bad things. Like, don't go down that block. We can't go this. Don't walk him at night. I can't imagine what it's like having a kid. Like, geez, or the schools. Like the schools thing in California right now is crazy. Right, my best friend in California's got 2 kids, 2 girls. I was like, dude, I don't know how you do it, man. We know too much. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
You can't let
No,
them
it is-
play.
it's-
It's different. We're just
Well,
in a
you're
different day
more
and age.
controllable, right? When you're paranoid and when you're scared
Yeah.
and when you're
That's the point.
And
Yeah,
we
they
often
want us, yeah.
we often say that this is all by design. It's all by
I
design.
agree too. A lot of us agree.
I think they fucked up though too. It was kind of by design, like with this whole COVID. Whether you think it was real or not, everything that ensued with it, like the
Didn't go right to
shutting
plan.
down businesses, doing this, locking people in. It made people start to see like what the fuck is going on. Nobody, I didn't pay attention to anything, nothing. Now I pay attention
Yeah.
to everything.
Yeah.
Especially
So
with
if I'm
schools.
like that, there's a lot.
Oh,
of
there's a lot of people that are like that. Like I
Right,
never
like,
paid
did you have
attention to it.
did you grow up watching political interviews like
No.
to see
never,
never right?
Now I do it all the fucking
Now you're like,
time.
oh, I
And
want to
just-
see who this guy is.
Listen, I'm a new dad. My kids are young, but I just sent my kids to school, and I was like, they're doing the right thing. I started paying attention after COVID. They're not doing the right thing.
I know.
You know what I mean? So
And that's here. Usually, I think Jersey was a little better, right, than back in New York was with the
No,
school.
Jersey was definitely. I mean, we were a little fucked up, but they closed shit down, and then once they opened it up, they kind of kept it open. Where they started, closing stuff back down in the cities like Philly and New York City. Jersey, he kind of left it somewhat alone. Remember when he
with
first
the opening,
opened up? He
I'm
kind
talking
of
about curriculum too, though. You know.
Oh,
like,
for that? No, we're fucked with the curriculum.
So you're doing
As far
that
as-
weird shit
oh,
here
yeah.
too.
Oh yeah,
Everybody
I
is.
went. I was
That's-
going to
that's
school
like a
board
national
meetings
thing,
during
yeah.
this. I was going to school board. Look, like Tom's River, the Ocean County might as well be Alabama. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a really red place. And I went to these, school board meetings, and their parents were up in arms over this shit.
It's crazy
And
because
one lady,
all the teachers we know,
one lady was
same
reading,
age.
curriculum, something about anal sex and that.
That's
and
crazy,
the guy's
man.
like, "Oh, please refrain from speaking like that." I'm screaming in the back. I'm like, "The kids can fucking hear it. You can hear it, motherfucker."
That's the
You know?
school board. The
Yeah.
teachers we know, because we're friends with a bunch of the teachers.
Yeah, they don't want.
right?
Yeah,
They're like, listen,
teachers will come to me like,
you
"Please
guys,
speak."
you guys
Yeah.
speak up, because
Yeah.
if we say something, we're worried about our jobs. You know. So.
Well,
Yeah.
So we were just talking about it in the car. Like everybody wants Superman to come up. Like no one wants to be the hero. No one wants to be the change they want to see. Everybody, I'm waiting for Superman to come. Somebody's got to fix this. It's just not gonna be me.
Well, what is it? That Ian Smith says, "No one's here. No one's coming to save you."
Yeah.
So-
You know what I
We-
like
we
about
say it all the
Ian?
time.
Ian's like guys that if you don't listen to Ian or read what Ian says and you're watching people, you're like, oh, that guy knows his shit, and Ian will be like, nah, he's a bullshit artist
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
He'll put them
Paul,
all
He
out
does,
there, man.
He makes me really second guess a lot of people.
You know, because I'm looking at that dude DC Drano.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking at Ian and I'm
over
like,
in Israel.
yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
like, yo, Ian's got a
what do
point.
they call them? Grifters.
Even
right?
about
Grifters,
even
yeah.
about Trump, he says like you guys are waiting for this one Messiah to save you. He can't do it on his own. You
Listen.
got to vote locally.
That's what
you
I
gotta
say,
get
bro.
there.
You got to vote locally.
Yeah, you
4
have
years
to.
he did great, but as soon as he was gone, it turned to shit. So what's his next 4 years gonna do?
Yeah, but
You know
he's
what I mean? I
pushing.
don't know.
He's put and well, listen, I'll take what we can get, right?
Yeah.
But Ian often pushes local elections because that's where.
Yeah, well,
change is
it's
being
definitely
made.
more important. Your local government
Yeah.
Oh,
is
it's
more
100%
important.
more
Because look at what they
And
do.
I never voted locally until the last couple of elections.
even
because
now.
I was
Yeah,
like,
well,
I voted
we
for
just
the
got
president. I
fucking
did my.
bamboozled, I think, in our hometown.
Well,
Well, man, I
like,
don't know. Some crazy
The one
shit going
thing
on
we
locally.
learn is that when you vote, there's so many things that you're voting for that you don't know you're voting for.
Right.
Because it's like, again, you see it in the Congress now. It's out there. It's a 1,000-page thing you got to read with all the
People are
bills.
running. It's got like. I don't know if I'm
Go ahead. Let it fly.
People are running on one agenda, right? So
Yes.
you're running on one
That's
agenda,
exactly
running
right.
on one stuff, and then you get elected, and then you don't do anything that you ran
Yeah.
on.
Yeah,
that should be illegal.
it should be.
Like you just totally lied.
It should be.
That's
Yeah.
a straight up lie. I don't know.
Or passing a bill, right? They do that often. They'll pass a bill and they'll tell you about one thing in the bill. They stuff
there's
that
other
bill
stuff, yeah,
full of a
yeah.
million things that I
all
would
the
never
things you
vote
don't know
for.
about.
You know what I
That,
mean?
that
Do you
happened
have
to us.
like I have family members that hate New York City's way of life right now, right? They hate it. They hate the city council, but they'll vote Democratic still to this day.
It's crazy.
It's
and I'm
they
like-
spite their nose to spite, or cut off their nose to spite their face.
I feel like they're so ingrained they don't know any other way. You know what I mean? They don't see it any other way.
And I ask, and I'm like, listen, because I was never a Republican, Democrat. I was always
Neither
like,
was
give me
I.
the normal
Neither was I.
guy
Yeah.
who's
Independent
talking
my
normal
whole life.
stuff. And that's just, to me, that's Trump, right? He's just telling you, and it's not.
He's the one guy.
He's just
in
doing
my
what.
lifetime that
Yeah,
did
he's just
exactly
doing it.
what he said he was going to do.
He's just doing it. Yeah, he's nuts. He might not talk
Agreed.
the right way, whatever.
Agreed.
But whatever, he
I'm not
does what
voting
he's
for
got to do.
personality.
Yeah, you're
That's the
voting for
thing, and
policy.
that's what I ask. I'm like, well, what don't you like? His
I kinda like that
personality.
he's brash a little bit. Like at first, I was like, "Oh, he's fucking
Bro,
cringe."
good.
He's a
funny
New Yorker.
dude. He's
But
fucking funny.
He's
too.
a New
But-
Yorker.
I would have known about fake news if he didn't fire back. You know what I
Nope.
mean? I would be like, "Oh, news is real. They do their research. They know what they're talking about. Bullshit."
Yeah.
It's
fucking-
mind blowing that this dude's been around for forever, and they all loved him
They
before he ran.
loved him.
Oh, yeah.
They
loved
all
him.
loved him, and now all of a sudden he's
They're
like
doing
public enemy
everything they
number
can
one.
do to make sure this guy don't make that walk.
Even what's his name?
everything.
RFK, right? I think Enzo said it on here. Like
There's
that
a
dude.
rumored that he might be a VP. That's rumored. I don't know.
To
if that's
me,
true.
like, all right, so you can't. I'm down the middle, right? I like what he says,
I do
man.
too.
He's a normal guy.
Vivek. I love what Vivek
He's another
does.
one. He's a
I'm
normal
a
guy.
big. Yep, I love him.
That guy. I'm glad that when he dropped out, he endorsed Trump. You know, I was happy to see that, but I would love to see that. The reason I couldn't go all in on Vivek for myself was that he's unproven.
He's too new.
I'm so sick of, like Frankie said, people running on these ideas and these policies, and I'm going to do that, and they don't do it. There's one guy that's proven so far.
I know.
So he's got my vote. You know what I mean?
It's scary because it's like, what happens
But
now?
I would like
Well-
to see Vivek be a VP maybe, and then if he toes the line for 4 years, he's got 2020. You were just saying what happens 4 years later. If that dude, someone like him,
Donald Trump
is VP, yeah, is VP for 4 years, he toes
That's
the line.
how it goes,
he does-
though. But that's
then that man's
But
got my
that's
vote.
but
for
you
2020.
see how it goes. It's like the Bush family, the Clintons try to run her family.
Of course.
Or what's the
say
daughter's
they're all
name? What's the
related.
daughter's name? Chelsea Clinton. She's gonna end up in politics too.
Oh, Big Mike's coming in hot.
Oh, that's scary. But listen, here's the thing, right? Like everybody's saying, come July, August, that's gonna be
It's
it.
gonna be a medical. He's gonna
I mean,
medically
but-
drop out, and then she's coming
And
in. Yeah.
we
That's
just
gonna
said this
fight.
in the car, right? We all saying it's gonna happen. Everybody knows it.
Yeah.
What the like? What? Nothing could change. Like nobody could do anything
And
about
how
it.
Where
scary
do
is
you
it that
draw
we
the
all
line,
know
right?
it
Frankie and
and
I
feel
are
like we
always
can't
in this
control it?
weird space of what is conspiracy and what is.
I don't
like
know,
that's
man.
one where I don't know. Another one is that you hear the latest shit. Like the last 5 Super Bowls have been predicted before they ever the outcomes.
Oh,
the
the whole
colors
like
of the things and
sports
stuff.
are narrated, scripted. I'm not a sports guy, but
They're
I think it's a
Kansas City
cool
and
rabbit hole to
Oakland.
go down.
I think fucking Mahomes is fucking very good. That's what it is. He's very good.
Well, listen, even if you guess, you got a 50-50 chance of being right, if you say they're going to be in it. But, I mean,
no, I'm always saying not if you pick in the beginning of the year.
no, if you pick when this is a relatively new thing I just heard recently, you know what I mean? But
Well, they said in 2020 election, Super Bowl. You know what Super Bowl was?
Oh, was it Kansas City and San
Kansas
Francisco?
City
Yeah.
49ers.
Oh, it
that
was. Damn, that's insane, man.
I mean,
Like you. So with UFC, like they don't get involved in all this politics shit, right?
Nothing.
Dude,
He
Dana
stays
White-
pretty.
Dana doesn't. Dana is one of the good guys. He's one of the
He's
last
one of the
real
last-
people in sports.
Yeah.
You know?
He
He just
got
did a
me to do
podcast,
that
it was great.
86-hour fast, man. Just
Yeah.
listening
Oh, you
to him
did it?
talk
Yeah.
about it.
36?
I made it to 72,
Wow, I did 36 the most I did.
and it
It was good. Yeah, it was
You
easy.
did
It was
72
I did the
hours?
3-day.
give or take
3 day.
Yeah,
Wow,
Give it
three-day
a
water
shot.
fast.
Just water?
Yeah.
water, coffee, and I drank a little bit of C4, but
Wow. C4.
yeah, but it had 5 calories, no sugar, no carbs. So I don't know if that kills it or
Nah,
not.
I think if you're under 5 calories, you might be all right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
It's hard at first, but the first day, if you can get past the first day,
Oh, you
it
did
gets
too?
you. Yeah, I did the 3-day water fast.
So I stopped at 8 o'clock one night, and I didn't eat till I didn't eat the next whole day until 8 o'clock that following morning.
I did
Yeah.
8
So that was
hours
easy.
once because I was sleeping.
See, now I'll only eat from 12 noon to 8 p.m. So I'll have an 8
well,
hour
that's
you and I are
intermittent
different.
Which
So
they
now I'm
say
doing
is
that.
I do
great
that
for you.
too.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's
I
just
fast
to
for
change
20
it up.
hours out of the day.
20.
Yeah, so
Oh,
I'll eat at
hours
6
down.
at night, and then 6 to 10 is my window. So
Oh,
then,
shit.
because I work from 8 to 6, so 8 in the morning to 6 at night. So 6 at night to 10 at night is my window where I'll eat.
You don't eat anything prior to that?
No, I chew gum and drink water.
Damn.
right.
Wow.
Coffee? No coffee?
No, I'm not a coffee guy.
Wow.
I don't have any caffeine. Have you ever
I
had
can't. I mean, I could
No
drink.
vices. Got
I
no
could drink
vices.
coffee all day.
I do
and
have
get it
voices.
done.
Like that's what 6 to 10 is for.
There you go.
Nah, I'm an energy. I'm a C4 or fucking rain
Oh,
energy.
I know,
To-
man.
To,
I know.
To date,
I
the
can't
only
do
thing,
that.
because I guess I'm a big guy, I guess, so I have a high tolerance for pretty much anything. But C4 is the only thing that
Tingly?
will give me the tingles.
Yeah,
at
because
all.
it's
The
loaded
only
with
thing.
beta alanine,
Tingles?
so it's
beta
yeah,
alanine.
that's
I'll
what it
give you a
is.
fucking bottle of beta alanine. I'll give you the tingles
It's great.
you want.
It's great, but it don't work like coffee. I'd have to drink 4 pots of coffee to
Oh, yeah.
feel
Coffee
anything.
does. The Red Bull, none of that shit. Even
I mean,
bothers me.
with the
C4
pre-work,
does.
do you
I got a
got-
story about C4. Listen to this. So I had a bunch of bottles of it in the fridge, and this is right after I had just got separated. I was back, living on my own, doing the shared custody thing, and my son was just little. My son was only like 2, maybe 2.5 when we got divorced. And he was still napping, right? Still napping during the day. So I would bring him into my room around noon. He'd, usually sleep for a couple hours. And I was laying down with him, trying to get him down. I shut the door. Juan, he's a couple years older, so she's maybe like 4.5, whatever. She's out on the couch, and she knows, like, don't leave the house, don't open the door, whatever. So I'm in there with Grayson, and all of a sudden I hear my Ring camera go off. So I'm like, oh, somebody's here. And I click on it. He's almost asleep. He's like, and I look, and it's my daughter opening the front door and walking out and sitting. She's sitting on my top step on my stoop. So I'm like, holy shit, don't fucking leave, don't walk down. He's almost asleep, and I'm watching her, right? I'm like, she's not going anywhere. But she's doing this. She's itching her arms and shit. and I'm
Oh,
like,
She got
I'm like,
some.
what the fuck is she doing?
She
You know
got
what I mean?
the fix.
Finally, he goes to sleep, and I sneak out and I walk out, and I go out, and she's like kind of red and itchy, and like itching herself. And I'm like, honey, what are you doing? She's like, I drank some of that. And I looked, it was a
No,
bottle of
she drank the
C4.
beta.
I go, oh my God, don't drink that ever. She literally only took a sip, but still, it was C4.
Damn.
Crazy, yeah.
My daughter loves your kids, bro. Like she literally she follows them on social media and stuff, and she's starting to watch Jersey Shore now.
yeah,
my
yeah.
kid, man. And I'm like,
I
oh,
hear
man.
it. I don't watch it, but no hate. I'm not hating on it, but I hear it's much toned down, and it's a it's not as crazy. As
Yeah, and then she asked me stupid questions like, "Oh, how come you didn't go on that show?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Staten Island? Like, don't fall for that stigma yet."
That's the bane of my existence, buddy.
It's
Everybody makes fun of me in California.
because you're from Jersey.
Italian guy from Jersey. I had a really thick accent that I had to get rid of when I got over there. And they're like, oh, they call me like Jersey Shore situation.
Yeah.
Like, and they used to mess with like suspects. They used to say I was like Mike the Situation or I was Vinny. Like he was on the show because I was like the only. I was the first guy there from Jersey at the time.
It's crazy how popular that show was.
One of my guys,
I
I won't even say his name. You probably know him. Dated, what's her name? I think it might have been Angelina at the time.
Oh, really?
On the show.
On the show.
Years ago, like when it first.
Yeah.
And then
she wasn't on it when I was on it.
Okay, so
she
it was
like,
before.
She was like the first season, and then
all right. So then
quit,
it was that. There was the first season, and he gotten some shit for that. I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And then she came back. They brought her back on.
Yeah, it's
regardless,
great.
it was popular. But we were talking about that on here. Shows don't get ratings like that anymore because there's too much saturation in the market.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
It was 8 million streaming services.
Yeah.
This and that.
There's a million.
Yeah, I mean, what was on when that was on? I don't even remember anything
I think
else.
the first
Survivor,
one,
fucking Amazing Race.
Tila
like
Tequila is like the first one I can remember. Remember that was on just prior to Jersey Shore coming on.
What?
And
was the first what?
Tila Tequila is like one of the first. I mean, The Real World was probably the first reality.
Yeah.
But Tila Tequila came on after that. Which
and
was
Paris Hilton and shit.
Paris Hilton, right? My new BFF, and then the Kardashians.
Oh, I remember the Paris Hilton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she's watching all that shit now at 17 years old. She'll
like
be 18
history.
in April, and I'm
It's a
like,
lot
what
of
are you
people's
doing?
Guilty pleasure.
Sopranos is big again in my house.
my God.
But I mean,
One of the best shows of
I
all
mean, I
time.
rewatch that all the time anyway. But now I got my kids watching it.
Oh, great show.
Yeah,
It's just, it's crazy.
at least your kids grew up here, dude. My fiance thinks that's my life. She goes, "That's your dad. Like this is your
Nah,
life." Like
bro.
You
I've
met
come home.
her? She's from Cali?
Yeah, she's from
Okay.
California. We met over there, and she's come back. You've met her obviously a bunch of
Yeah.
times. She just thinks like this is you're in the mafia. I was like, I'm not in the mob. We just all talk like that.
Yeah.
But that's not how we are. Like, and everybody just, you know what? It's so funny how everybody just puts us all in the stereotype. You're the Jersey Shore or you're mobbed up. They all make the accents to me. They do a horrible job. They butcher it so badly. And they all just say, "Are you gonna go tanning? GTL time?"
Yeah.
Well, Staten Island is like, it really is part of New Jersey. If you,
Oh, it is so
I mean,
much.
in my opinion,
Yep.
Yeah.
you know,
Most New Jerseyans come
We
from
go-
New York.
We go there and dump our trash there.
they used to. That's crazy too. Now that dumps is being turned into a
What is it?
park.
The
Fresh Kill,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is now going to
Which is
be
where they took a lot of
9/11 stuff.
9/11
Yeah.
stuff, right? Yeah.
Which how is that a park, man? How are you walking
right
through
by
that
the
area
house.
now? I don't
How
know.
is there no issues with that? Like,
Right.
We have the most cancer.
Yeah.
People with cancer in New York. in Staten
I
Island.
mean, but now you're gonna make it a park.
They claim they have special vents in the ground, but I'm like, how does that work?
Special vents in the ground.
There's
that-
ventilators in the ground that air out the.
That brings the poison to the surface.
Yeah,
That's
I was
what
gonna say,
that's
that
what-
doesn't
yeah.
seem. You're not locking it in. You're letting it out.
I don't know. It's just a weird. It's Staten Island strange, man.
And the next
You
thing
guys,
is-
you guys ever go to the city at all for anything?
I do. I mean, Wednesday I went for flights. Probably the summer's the last time we took the path from Jersey City, and honestly, I felt it was normal. I did. I felt pretty normal. It was the summertime. Went to Washington Square Park. Everybody was out and about. But I was on that subway with my fucking head like this, just because.
Well, yeah.
People pushing people on the subways. And
Yeah.
stuff, man. That's I'm sure it doesn't happen often, but I'm not gonna be the dummy that happens to.
right?
The
But that's
story with
people.
him going to Bellevue Hospital.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
he's got a hysterical story. He's told it a few times, but just what you run into there.
Oh
But
yeah, there's fucking like 6 people handcuffed to hospital beds.
That's the insane asylum, man.
For
That's
me, being from Maine, a small town of Maine, the city was exciting, man. It was just like when I've been here 25 years now, but I would go up there and just for the nightlife. Or occasionally to go to a dinner or something like that, and it was just super, super exciting. Like, oh my God, I'm in New York City, like I never thought I'd be. For me now, it hasn't really changed any. It's kind of the same when I go now, but the politics kind of ruined it for me. I feel like I don't want to go in because I just can't support that shit. You know what I mean?
I don't know if it's getting older or the politics. Because I went to Rutgers, like we would take the train to get to this Manhattan. Manhattan was like our backyard. We went all the time. I grew up. We always went to Staten Island, and now like San Francisco because I'm in the Bay Area. And I was like, you know what? It's either the politics or I'm just getting too old to be there. And I'm like, I just don't want to deal with it.
Exactly.
I'd rather be
That's exactly
home,
how I am.
and not be dealing with this anymore.
I would never. If my daughter said, "Oh, I'm going to the city with my friends," I'd be like, "No, you're not." Or
Yeah.
I'll drive you and I'll wait wherever you are until you're done.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not. You're
You're
not
a dad like me,
You're not
yeah.
taking the ferry and the subway. No way.
No way.
Yeah, like
That's. I mean, and years ago we all would, right? You'd all be on the ferry and the
I
subway,
took
like
the
no
train up there
problem.
100 times. Yeah.
Never a problem.
Yep. I slept in Rockefeller Center one time. Remember when Howard Stern got off normal radio and he went to Sirius?
Yeah.
This is, again, talking about politics. I can't stand what he stands for now, but back in the day, I was his biggest fan.
Yeah, what the
And I
fuck
went,
happened to him?
Bro, sellout. But anyway, I went to his, his Sirius release party or whatever when he was going over there. And I didn't realize the train stopped running at a certain time from like, I don't know, 1 in the morning to like 4 or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
He
I've
slept
done that.
I said Rockefeller. I meant Penn Station.
Penn
He slept in
Station.
Penn Station on the floor. Cops kicking us. You can't sleep here. I'm like, bro, I'm just trying to get on the
That
fucking
was
train.
Mike. That was Mike.
Now you can sleep there.
Yeah.
We were just me and my wife were just talking about Howard Stern. I had it in the car
I was
by
a
chance.
Huge fan of
He's
that.
the reason I got serious years ago.
Same. Me
Only
too.
reason I got
Me
serious
too.
was Howard Stern. And now I'm like, what the fuck?
he
He was.
changed
I don't know what happened. It's like
everything.
he's a fucking lesbian now.
I don't get it, man. You basically interviewed. You did everything everybody does like that we like now. You did, and now you're shitting on everybody.
Exactly.
You know?
I think it's just a life of comfort. When you're in that life of comfort, and you don't know struggle anymore. You feel bad for everybody else.
Right.
Like it sucks because there's sometimes I want to throw it on because he's got people, and I'm like,
won't
nah,
listen to
fucking,
him.
I ain't
won't
putting it on,
support
man.
I don't really hate on him. I mean, listen, because we live in America. Choose to do whatever you want, but I'm not.
Yeah, but you're
supportive,
fraud to
you
your
know?
fan base, right? You
The
saw
Rock.
you.
I was the biggest fan of The Rock.
Oh,
I
the
don't-
Rock.
I
The
can't
Rock
get behind
just.
that guy
The
anymore.
Rock just threw some Trump love. I can't like the other
Oh,
day.
did
Yeah,
he?
did you see it?
Did he? All right. I'm
They
back on
said
your team,
something
buddy.
to him. I think it was at a UFC. He was with Dana White somewhere,
Okay.
and they were like, "What? How would Donald Trump get if he came out to UFC walkout?" And he
Yeah,
was
but
like,
he came out and he had endorsed
I
Biden
know.
and
I
Kamala.
don't-
And he said, I remember, he said, this is what
he had to
bugged
talk
me.
with them. He had, like,
He
a
said, I
talk.
sat down with them and I had to talk. Well, did you sit down with the other side? Isn't that how it works? Isn't that fair? You know what I mean?
"See, there was something else where might have been Joe Rogan asked him about that, right?"
And then he's like, "You're friends with your friend. You know, he said, "Oh, you really like Joe Biden?" He's like, "Well,
Yeah, he's like,
I don't know."
I like
and
the
Rogan
Democrat.
has no love for Trump either. You know,
No,
he said,
he's
I'm not
straight
gonna
down
give
the
him a
middle, too,
platform,
man.
But I feel like he's at least down the middle. I
He
really
is.
do. He
And
wouldn't
I like-
have- he wouldn't have
Listen, bro,
Biden on either.
he's been swaying
Yeah, he's
more
kind
and
like
more
you.
and more.
He's like you. He's like you.
Swaying more
This
and
was
more.
my leftist friend when we first started the
Fuck outta
podcast.
here. I'm a common sensican. That's
Well,
what I
that's
say.
But don't you think that common sense is kind of going away?
Oh, it's gone.
hell yeah,
Oh,
man.
it's gone.
All right. And it's like, well, what's the root cause of that? Why
guy-
is all of a sudden no one having common sense?
Exactly.
Well,
There
it's
has to
because
be a reason.
because people aren't critical thinkers. They don't want to think for
No.
themselves. They want to be told what to think. So let me go to the mass media and let me tell them what they. Let me listen to what I should think. That's what's going
But
down.
societies, generally speaking, are like that. People want to be told what
Well,
to
they
do.
call it
and
the
what
echo
to think.
chamber, right? You know, you go on social media, you follow the shit you want to hear. You don't follow the shit you don't want to hear. You know?
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
It's funny too. I find on social media now, you find less of what you used to watch. Like they're trying to I almost feel like it's filtered out,
The algorithm.
right?
It's the algorithm, yeah.
Like you see shit that you don't see no more. You're trying to search for stuff you can't find it, but it's there.
You know who keeps popping up on my shit all the time? And listen, I'm not no hate, right? Because I believe in we live in America, so you have the right to think, believe, speak, whatever you want. There's no hate speech; it's all free speech. But that kid Harry. You know that kid Harry? He's like a hardcore. He's hardcore on the left. He looks like he's like, you know what I'm talking about? He's like 17. He pops up on my shit all the time now, and I'm like, why is this kid on my?
Yeah,
shit?
they want to see.
sensationalize
Yeah,
you and get you pissed, and you're sitting there scrolling through more stuff.
Yeah.
it's
More-
crazy, man.
More FaceTime, or
They-
more,
They
screen time.
they want to it's almost like with the dudes with testosterone, right? They want to suck it out of you, and then they want to shame you if you get TRT, right?
Right.
Dude, I go to a doctor, I get TRT. I don't give a shit. I make sure it's straight with my medical, my job, and that's all I do. But it benefits me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be a miserable, weak link right now.
Well, I mean, with the environment and plastics and our food and just everything
I
else
know.
is zapping our fucking testosterone.
It definitely is.
Yeah, it is.
When our dads were fucking 40, their testosterone was higher than
100%
ours.
higher,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? And their dads were higher than theirs. Like, we're just constantly just necking it down. So I think we're not, you're not really juicing. You're fucking
No.
evening out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, like the doctors say that testosterone's lowering now and in younger males. Like I had the similar problem, and your general doctor only tests for like a general range.
Right.
As long as you're above 200, they don't
What
care.
is so there is the general range. What's the other one called? There's 2 testosterone.
Free
levels.
test.
There's free,
test.
yeah, you're free in
That's
total.
one, right, yeah.
Yep.
Because that's what I started on the peptides because I was exhausted, couldn't lose weight, under brain fog. My work was killing me. And the company I found said, listen, this is your free, this is your total. Your doctor tests for this. This is your age range where you should be. Let's get you that.
So you did just straight peptides, no TRT?
Yeah, straight up
What
peptides.
peptide they
I have
give you?
I have a natural one that helps release my natural testosterone
The
being stored.
HCG?
Yep, I do the
Yeah,
HCG.
yeah.
What about the C? There's something else, CJC, right?
I do HCG is for the testosterone mixed with enclomiphene and DHA.
Okay.
CJC is like more of like the growth
The
factor.
growth,
Yeah.
right.
So
BP
and it's
157
skyrocketing me.
is
I haven't felt
very
better.
Wolverine.
It is. I mean,
yeah,
you
so
should,
I do the Wolverine stack too,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
BPC and all that stuff. I haven't felt this good in forever. I had a torn shoulder, couldn't do push-ups. I'm cranking out like 100 now.
That's awesome.
I don't know why like this stuff isn't pushed out, but we obviously talk
you
about
know.
like
You know why?
we know why
I feel like
the
it's going to
agenda.
go away at some point. They're going to regulate it.
Probably.
And
I thought
it's-
they've been trying to.
They've been
It's
trying.
and it's expensive.
Starting to get
right?
more money now to try to get it. You used to be able to get it for like the Wolverine stack used to be $45 to get. Like I don't need. What is it now?
Dude, I
Hundreds.
feel like hundreds. I'm in the thousands,
Yeah.
buddy. It's
Yeah.
thousands.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Right? But the way I see it, and this is, I found this very insightful, is that you live once, right? For what we know, you live once,
That's all we know.
right?
Yeah.
Why not do whatever you can
Yeah.
to make it the best life you can, right? Improve it.
Oh, yeah.
We do it with guns, right?
So I have
If you
drinks
got to
every
take
once in
that
a
gun
while.
and
No.
modify it to make it the best thing possible, same thing with your body.
Yep.
Your body's the first thing that's going to go to fail. Let's fix it.
My thing is, I like to be a physical person, bro.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do whatever I can do to stay physical. I'll do it.
Yeah, it's like you said before. When you get older, you have to keep being physical and lifting. You have to.
You rest, you rust. That's
You
what
have
I'm
to.
trying
Yeah.
say.
My father-in-law is 70-something years old, and he just had his knee replaced, and they get on him for moving around. And I'm like, he has to move around.
Right.
Yeah.
He's going to go mentally crazy if he doesn't move around. So let him walk. If he keeps moving around, doing what he's doing, he's under cars, fixing fucking brakes at 70-something years old.
Good for him.
He's going to
Gives
keep
him
him
purpose.
alive, man.
Yeah.
That's what's going to keep him ticking.
Right.
So just
Nobody
leave
ever
him
did
alone.
anything amazing that was complacent. You know what I mean? You got to be a little dangerous. You got to stay active. You got to stay healthy.
I finally got my father into this a few years ago because he was a big like, oh, TRT dangerous. Now he's doing TRT. He feels great. He fucking got remarried. He moved to Pennsylvania. I'm like, look at this guy now.
And
He's
but
got
he
a
lifted.
gym in his basement.
Yeah, he
and he was
lifts.
another guy against like gyms. Oh, I'll do push-ups and calisthenics. I'm like, dude, that's only gonna take you so far.
Right.
Now he's hitting weights and
That's
stuff.
awesome. That's awesome.
Every person that we know that like you look up to that's in the media says when you get older, lift weights.
Absolutely, dude.
There's even like the female doctors that we watch. They said, hey, if you're a woman, you want to lose weight, you want to look good, lift weights. Don't
Lifting
run.
weights is everyone thinks it's cardio. Believe it or not, you lose more fat from lifting
Yeah.
weights. Lifting weights burns the fat 10 times more than cardio. Cardio really probably just stops you from losing weight. A lot of times.
Yeah,
Yeah, because it's a complacency thing.
Mm-hmm.
right.
So like we lift weights all the time.
As long as your heart rate is up, you're getting cardio.
Yeah.
You
Be
know, you
active.
But
can
no,
lift
but the
weights.
more like also, but it's like the more mass, the more muscle you have, the more fat you burn.
Mhm.
Right, so that's the way you want to put more muscle mass on, and then the fat naturally burns.
So, and again, dude, like, I think stigma is like the word of the day for me. The stigma between women lifting weights, right? Just lift weights. Like, you don't have to be anything you don't want to be.
I don't want to
be
look like a
active.
man.
I hate that, man.
None of
Like,
you
I-
will
And
look
guess
like
what?
a
We don't know
Nobody's
what a
gonna
man
look
is
like a
anymore in
man.
this day and age.
Yeah,
So
right.
That's a big argument with my daughter right now.
I don't want to look like a man.
I'm like, you're not gonna look like a man. Just
Only chicks I know
just
that
lift.
look like men, and it's rare. It's very few of them are the bodybuilder chicks that are on juice for years.
yeah.
They got bigger
Years.
dicks than Roger.
Clits, but they're bigger than my dick. Yeah.
and it's the uneducation. Like my fiance, when I met her, was a bikini competitor. She wasn't massive, but she had physique, right? I didn't know that was a thing. I thought just bodybuilding was a competitive thing. Like you would all be massive like guys. I was like, if you know and you have education and knowledge, I think it changes your perspective.
Yeah, definitely.
I went to the a fight night in Nashville this last August. Sandhagen was the main event.
He lost to.
yeah.
He lost to. No. Did he beat?
No,
Cheeto?
he won.
Beat Cheeto.
He did
Barrett.
win.
Yeah.
But the two girls before him, I don't remember who it was. One of the sickest shapes I've ever seen, and the fight was like one of the best fights ever.
Yeah.
And I remember them saying the one that won, I can't remember her name, was a big weightlifter. She was a big like professional CrossFitter with her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I forget.
Most of the girls have phenomenal, not genetics, but they look great. But I mean, there is like the Chris Cyborgs, right?
Well,
that
she's
obviously has overdone it a little bit.
She's fighting again though, right? I'm seeing.
She's been boxing. She's
Yeah.
been boxing. Yeah.
And you
Kayla
got
Harrison
paid.
just signed to the UFC.
Saw that. That's the girl fighting Holly Holm?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holly Holm's gonna fight again.
Yeah.
And I thought she was done.
No, she's fighting Kayla Harrison. Pretty tough. She's coming from the PFL.
You think Rousey will ever pop in again?
I mean,
She's
I don't know.
making too much money doing
Yeah.
all this stuff.
Well, no. She got let go. She left WWE.
Oh,
right?
did she
Yeah.
really?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I mean, they're announcing supposedly for the 300 main event. I don't think it's her, but
Who do you think
they're
it is?
saying it's crazy. It's gonna be such a crazy. I have no idea.
Not
man.
Connor, right?
I mean, I would maybe Connor. Maybe Connor.
Well, if it's Connor,
Well,
that's why they got rid of USADA for sure. Because
Well, no, they have something.
I thought Connor's doing something
He's
already.
got to do at least 6 months in USADA, right? Would he have to do 6 months in whatever they?
He's been doing it. He's been
Has
doing
he?
it.
Oh, I didn't know.
No, I,
he's
mean,
been
well,
doing
I
it.
don't think he's definitely didn't get. I mean, honestly, if he by the time he fights, it will be the 6 months.
Give me a couple names that you think possibly could be that main card.
I got no idea, man.
Connor. We'll say Connor.
I'd say Connor would probably be the bigger. The
You think
I don't know
Ronda
what's
Rousey
bigger.
is actually on
Ronda
that
was
list?
Ronda versus
Brock
Misha.
Lesnar?
They were talking about Brock. I mean, I don't know.
He's
He's
got
old
some
as
allegations
fuck.
against him right now, though. So
He's old, bro, too. I don't know.
He's still badass, but
Yeah. Yeah.
who else could it be?
John Jones is out, so I don't know.
John Jones is out because of an injury.
Injury, yeah. He got hurt. Remember he was supposed to fight Stipe and he tore his pec.
Oh right, yeah.
I got a question for you guys. Since there's a big age gap between us, not big, but a different one. Like all the names you're mentioning are I consider the old school guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's up now? Like who's gonna take over?
Well, I mean, I think Umar Nurmagomedov at 135.
Yep. The
Yeah?
Dagestan
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Right? They're
Well, him specifically.
they're dangerous.
I mean, John Jones is still around. I like that heavyweight Aspinall. He's good, man. He has the title. It's the vacant title right now.
Yeah.
Or the interim title.
He's got the
Hands
shortest
got some-
fight times.
He got fast hands, man.
Yeah, he's got
Heavyweight.
fast
Knocks
hands.
you out in the first round, and he's good.
I'm just not seeing a lot of new young blood that's like people are getting behind like they
O'Malley, Sean O'Malley. You know, he's young. A lot of people are behind him.
A lot of people, right? He's like they almost
He's surprised
like,
me.
they're
I
buying into
wasn't
him
a
like
huge
Connor
fan.
almost,
Yeah,
right?
kinda. He's
Because of
trying-
the gig, like the charismatics he's got going on.
You know, he got the colorful hair.
Yeah.
He's fighting Cheeto again, which he lost to. Cheeto won. This is his only loss ever, right?
Yeah. Yes. But he. Yeah.
I gotta say,
Yeah.
I've been to a lot of stuff. That fight night, even though it wasn't a big pay per view, is probably one of the best events I've ever been to live.
Nashville's awesome though.
And then plus it was in Nashville, which was the icing on the cake.
If you're a UFC fan, everybody should go to a live one. I'm
Yeah.
at the age now where I prefer to stay home and watch it.
Yeah.
because it's such a. It's,
Yeah.
He
too
did
much
say you're
effort.
old. He did just say you're
Yeah,
old.
yeah.
I mean, I'm at the age I've been to a UFC at Prudential Center before I left in like 2010.
The
and
problem
then
with Prudential
Bellator.
and MSG now is you're spending hundreds of dollars, right? I walked into Nashville for $65.
Yeah.
Granted, it was fight night, but still it was a good card on the fight
Bro,
night.
the Garden tickets the cheapest tickets are $1,000
Nosebleeds.
Yeah,
I know,
it's
it's
$1,000.
nuts.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yep.
Years ago, cops used to walk in and be like, "Oh, we're looking for somebody."
Flash the badge.
Now they're like, "Yo, get out of here, bro! Like, you can't come in here."
Well, like we talk about that perspective, right? I used to say like, cops were very respected. They would have the badge up on the car or whatever. I say like, we're like the hidden ones in World War II. You can't talk about it. I tell my buddies like, no one knows I'm a cop. I don't tell anybody I'm a cop.
Really?
You can't. Yeah, you would never know. Most of my friends don't even know. My buddy.
It's different. If you're a cop
came-
in Tom's River, it's a little different.
I think yeah,
If
right.
you guys are
Yeah.
cops. You guys are dealing with some real shit. Not saying that these guys don't deal with shit. I mean, Tom's River
It's just different.
the sixth biggest town in New Jersey. It's kind of a big
Yeah.
town. But I mean, there's shootings once in a blue. You hear some, like they're pulling up on someone. They're not really worried about getting fucking shot.
Right.
So it's got to be a little less
Well, it was funny.
nerve-wracking.
My buddy came to visit me in September, and he's a cop in Jersey. And I was like, look, dude, we don't say it. Don't tell anybody you're a cop. Don't talk about it. You don't know who, you don't know who's gonna talk to you, hate you, because it's again California, very liberal,
Right.
and a lot of them don't like us.
Oh wow.
Just don't. We always
Such
make.
a
We
different
just say we
time.
work for the city. Like we
Yeah.
kill
It's a different
complaints.
time. When I was a kid, like every kid wanted to be a cop. You were so well respected. Like you got everybody's respect. Literally,
Yeah.
adults, kids, everybody. Now the way it is, like you said, you probably don't even want people to know because you're so judged or whatever. But it's even gone to the point where I saw some girl on some probably CNN that was like, if I see an American flag on a house, I just
it's a thing.
assume that they're either racist or, and I'm like,
That's
what?
crazy.
What?
That's
Which
crazy.
in a different
How about when they
time.
wanted to change the flag and make it like? Remember they wanted to make it weird over the summer. I saw they wanted to redo the American flag.
Well, they consider
Look that up. Like they actually
know
wanted to
about this.
redo the American flag again.
They just took who was it? What was the statue? They just literally removed. It's
Thomas
been there-
Jefferson.
Yeah,
Fucking
Thomas
Thomas
Jefferson.
Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson. They just removed it after like it's been there for over 100 years. Crazy.
Listen, no matter how fucked up history was, it was still part of history, right?
people just want
It's how
it's
it's
denial.
how this
People don't want
world
to
was
believe in
made.
it.
It's
They're
The cancel
rewriting
culture.
history is what they're doing.
it's scary, man.
But have they done it before? Right? Have they rewrote it before? That's when we don't know. We think we know history, but we don't
Facts
know our
weren't there.
history. We don't even know our present. How the fuck do we know our history?
It's true. to
Right?
think that's a fact. Even it's true.
No,
It's
it
true.
is. And it's just, again, it's
Well,
weird.
I do think we lived in times of greater integrity than we do now. Don't you think?
Do we used to? You're saying?
I think so.
Yeah.
you know?
Well, yeah. But you're saying back in the day? But you don't know, man. There's fucking shady people run this world.
Yeah.
The history was told by the winner. Right?
Yep.
Yep.
History's written by the
That
victors.
is true.
Well, like 9/11, not a big thing anymore. No one really
No,
cares.
now you're hearing
Well,
like
you know what
now 9/11 theories
This
are
was
being
someone
shot
said-
out
some-
there.
Well, someone was like saying, I don't know, I heard on a podcast, but like, you got kids that weren't even alive during 9/11.
Right.
Saying, oh, 9/11 this, 9/11 that. Like, motherfucker, you weren't even around, bro.
Well, the JFK thing, they basically said, he was taken out by the CIA, one of the three
Well,
letters.
his
right?
nephew said it. The RFK said it.
Yeah. And they say nobody connected to that in any way is alive, and they still won't release all the documents. So, what does that tell you? You know what I mean?
It was the NYPD.
Imagine.
Man on
Jesus.
the grassy knoll.
I thought that was one thing Trump was trying to do. Remember?
He was.
did.
He
was trying to get it out there.
Unclassify it.
Unseal it or
Yeah,
whatever.
declassify that file.
And then everything started happening
I
after
don't know,
that.
yeah,
The moment
no, then all
you
of a
try to do
sudden-
one thing that lets people know what's really going on.
Yeah.
What about all the aliens
Well, I
shit?
think that
now?
begins
See
the-
this
the
stuff?
I don't
House of-
believe it now. Now
The
I used
house
to
of
believe in
cards
aliens, now I
crumbles,
don't.
right? If we find out that was our own government that did that, that's the beginning
Nothing
of the
will
end.
fucking happen, bro. Nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah,
Well, I
that's
feel like
true.
we've already seen behind the curtain.
We find
and
out
no one
everything.
cares.
And
He's right.
Nothing happens. The
That
world
drives
keeps
me nuts,
moving.
too.
No one gets held accountable. That's okay. That's it.
Well, it's like this turn
the
on each
common
other.
man gets jammed up
Yeah,
for
of
what
course,
happens.
of course.
That's how that works.
Of course, this fucking poor guy in New York for saving everybody on a fucking
Get
train
jammed up.
gets jammed
Well,
up.
they're gonna blame that on Trump. Trump did that. Trump took out JFK.
Yeah.
It's if you come down to Lower Manhattan on one of Trump's court dates, man, you would think like it was fucking Woodstock down in Lower Manhattan. The way
But
it's
supporters
gated up.
or detractors.
It's a mix, but believe it or not, recently it's more media than anybody
Well, 'cause
else.
aren't they? They're almost like probably putting up those like false flags of people protesting or
yeah.
people supporting. It's probably like they're fucking.
Yeah,
fed.
and it's like a waste. It's a waste of cops' time. You're sending them down there to just sit in the fucking middle of the street and do nothing. You know, they're just watching people yelling at each other. It's just crazy.
Yeah, they were saying the cost of this trial against him for the tax stuff, right?
Yeah.
The tax evasion stuff. The cost of what they spend daily on police and security and is like millions of dollars a day.
Millions.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's
It's all the overtime.
it's all that stuff. Even like when you see the protests and stuff, like what, like why, like just kill it already. Stop. Like what are we doing? And honestly, is a protest in New York City going to change anybody's mind about anything that's going on? Like that's my biggest thing too.
dude. And,
Is a protest going to stop anything?
We
The
have protests
more
all
I
the time.
see allegations against him and impeachments and not that I wasn't already, I'm already like I like what he did when he was there. He did what he said he was going to do. I like this. Maybe I don't love his personality, but I liked his policies, right? But the more shit they throw at this guy, I'm like, there's a reason they hate that man so much. There's a
Clean.
reason.
It's clean.
There's
It's
a
hard to
reason
find
they
a clean
hate him
dude.
that
what did he
much.
say? What do you remember? Sammy the Bull said. He's like,
Oh, yes.
he's like Trump's a good guy. We tried.
They tried to get him, yeah.
We couldn't corrupt him. We couldn't corrupt him. Yeah.
I guess when you have your own money and you're established, who the fuck do you need in life after
money's-
that?
Yeah, right.
You
But
don't
that's
need
power,
that's what's
we got
threatening,
money.
right?
Yeah.
You can't be bought off.
And
That's
and
why they
he
want to
thinks
get him.
Listen, he is good. All the good stuff. He's the biggest narcissist ever. he thinks he's the motherfucking man. He's gonna be like, you I'm not selling out to you.
But,
You know what I mean?
Listen, I wouldn't disagree with that statement. Okay, fair enough.
Roger's
but,
a big Trump guy, dude. I offended him. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
he's the biggest Biden supporter you'll
Yeah,
ever meet.
yeah, right.
100%, bro. You got to see the flag in his bedroom. But anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, there's a man that doesn't need that job, right? Doesn't need it. Is actually poorer for taking the job now than
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
before. I mean, that's got to say something about the guy.
He's one
His
of the
whole
only
family's
presidents.
persecuted.
He's one of the only presidents where his net value
It's
went
gone
down.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, he could be enjoying his money instead of doing this.
Smoozing with the-
I think he does feel like he thinks he's the fucking savior, bro.
Yeah, he
And I
definitely
hope,
does.
I mean, someone's got to do something.
Well, like Ian Smith says, it's not going to be one person, but it's got to
Well,
start with
listen.
somebody, right?
It's got to start with him.
Trump thinks it's him.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I mean,
Fair-
Hopefully,
fair
someone
enough,
can wake up the masses.
enough.
Yeah.
That's all. You need someone to turn the lights
But
on.
there's
for
guys-
The
everybody.
lights are
There's
turned
guys-
on just slowly.
There's guys like
Slowly,
Vivek, right? That stand up for that guy. That said, you know, if he was, I would pardon him if he was president. If Vivek is the new generation and he can be a guy that actually does what he says, and you know, maybe even be a VP or something like that, and then in 2028, then it's starting to It's the tides are starting to turn.
What about Tucker? You think Tucker is involved in any of the?
I like to. They say they know who his running mates are going to be, but he won't tell anybody yet. So
he definitely mentioned Tucker. So
Yeah.
someone asked.
Yeah,
You guys
a
actually,
bunch of people kept
you
saying
had
it,
you were
too.
speaking about Tucker on one of your shows once, and it was something that was driving me crazy. He had Kevin Spacey on the
I don't
show,
understand. We
Yeah.
can't figure that
and
out.
I was
to
like,
save our
"Isn't
souls.
that dude
Yeah.
bad? Like, what?
Yeah,
Like, I don't know the
totally
point of
get
that
it.
whole
It was like a
interview."
skit. He played Frank Underwood.
He did, right? Yeah.
That's
I
just. It
understand
was
that.
so out of the norm for Tucker. The fact that he had a guy on that was, and listen, he got off of those charges, but he had a lot of charges against him at one point in time. But he played a character.
Yeah.
I've never seen Tucker have a guy on that played.
That's like when
played
your
a
guy
role
did you-
as an
It's
actor.
so
like
weird.
it was
Some
so
of that
weird.
method acting.
You
yeah.
could have locked up Spacey, right? Like, is that?
Yeah. But again, you know, cops just we charge you, we don't convict you. That's on the attorney and the judge to make that decision.
Right.
So there's only so much we can do. Right? You know that.
Hey, listen,
you know that
man,
most of all.
it is what it is.
Right.
Like that. So that one picture that's been flipped. If you ever look at Daniel Penny's coming out of the precinct, that's me and my partner. That's got so much news play, and we became like public enemy number one, right? Because we're walking him out. But like, listen,
You
like-
do it like
Doing your
we
job.
walked him. We're walking this dude to a car and driving him to jail. That's what
Yeah.
we did that day.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like that's.
Right? But people don't realize
You'll
it's
know.
just a job.
Yeah.
Like it's just a job.
And then I got the kids that I coach in high school that are like, "Yo, that's the coolest thing ever." And I'm like, "No, it ain't, man. It's like I don't want you to know. Like, don't think that's cool. Like, you really don't know. You don't know enough to think that
You know,
one specific photo is cool."
You will relate to this. I'm sure you know him. I went to Rayos one night. Somebody, you got to know somebody to get in there, but we had a buddy
Yeah.
that knew somebody got us in there, and I was sitting next to Bo Deedle.
Big Bo, yeah.
Yeah. You ever have
Bo's-
any experience with Bo?
I tried to work for Bo,
Really?
like it's a side gig, and they denied it right away because he's private security. So that got kiboshed. But he's a good dude. A friend of mine works for him. I think my friend's like his second in charge of his company.
Okay.
But Bo ran for mayor at one point. I don't know if you remember that.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
remember that.
he ran against de Blasio the first time.
Okay.
And he was like, his big commercial was calling him Big Bird. And like, it was just like the true Bo Deal character was on that play. It was,
He does
it was,
a lot of private investigation stuff now.
he
right?
does. They get a lot
I've heard
of,
his name on. I don't watch it, but the girl does, and she's obsessed with it. And he was mentioned on the Housewives of New Jersey.
oh yeah,
Like
because
investigating some of the cast members
Yeah.
or something. Yeah.
that was one of they asked me to do that wedding. There was a wedding there over the summer.
Okay.
And I was like, dude,
Oh, Teresa.
Yes.
Yeah,
I was like, I can't do that wedding, man. They see me there, it's over. And I got a year left.
Yeah.
Let's finish this job. But he's a good dude. He's funny. He's a funny guy.
Yep.
He's in a lot of movies too, if you look.
Yeah. He is.
He's in a lot of
actually.
different stuff.
Yeah. He got done. What year? Like how many years ago did he get done?
Jesus, a long time
Yeah,
ago.
he's old school dude.
Yeah.
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 All right, boys. Well,
Yeah,
listen.
man.
It was
Great talking to you guys.
It was great, man. Gave us a lot of
Definitely,
insight.
Trafficking stuff's wild as hell, man.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. Check your kids' phones.
Yeah,
That's what we say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got me nervous now.
Well, you know, we say like, hey, if you don't know anything, you have questions, reach out. Like, you guys can reach out to me. We always do that. We always tell people if you don't know, ask.
Yeah.
Ask, because you don't want to be the last one to know, and it's too late.
Talk to your kids.
You would
Talk to your
need
kids.
the actual phone, right? You can't access it without having the phone, right?
I mean, it depends. It depends on what it is. But if like you guys like, hey, someone's talking to my kid,
my history
and they're
now.
saying this. What does that mean? I'm like, it kind of sounds like it and doesn't. But again, that's what police are for. You just call and ask.
All right.
Call your local department. If they don't know, they're supposed to find an answer.
Yeah. Wow.
All right.
Supposed to.
And it's all, I hate to say it's all coming out. So it's all online. You can always just Google a lot of stuff. There's books on it. Pimps write books. Like two of the books I have are written by pimps about everything, how the game works, how you walk it, how you talk it, how you put clothes on it. I was like, dude, you're giving me the answer key. Like,
Right. Wow.
to the crimes. But to them, it's a lifestyle. The last thing I'll say is, and I watched an interview and a pimp said this to the person conducting the interview. He said, listen, would you ever let someone stay in your house for free? No. Would you ever let someone drive your car for free? No. Well, if you're a girl and you know that all guys want is sex, why wouldn't you charge them for it? Why are you going to let them do it for free? It's like, I mean, like, that's persuasive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you're down on your luck,
Right.
I could see a girl being like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. I mean, sex sells.
Definitely.
man.
The world.
And men are always the buyer of it. So,
Thank you guys for having us. I
Definitely.
Yeah,
appreciate
man,
it.
appreciate it.
Yeah. No,
Chris,
it's
Chris,
definitely
Chris
awesome,
and Mike,
awesome
thank you
time.
guys.
Definitely.
We certainly, Frankie and I, our families definitely respect what you guys do. Always support the boys and girls in blue, and appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate
you.
it, man.
Guys, just a reminder, don't forget to find and follow us on YouTube, Rumble, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and most other podcast platforms.